Radio Network.
I certainly do remember that trip to Bosnia.
The welcoming ceremony had to be moved inside because of sniper fire.
And we basically were told to run to our cars. Now that is what happened.
Part of what I believe with all my heart is that the voters are tired of people who lie to them.
That was not a vote for war.
I actually started criticizing the war in Iraq before he did.
By the summer of 2004, Senator Obama said he wasn't sure how he would have voted.
If you had been a member of the Senate, you would have voted against the resolution.
Yes, I would have agreed with our senior Senator Dick Durbin and voted nay.
The voters are tired of people who lie to them.
You know, I have been a critic of NAFTA from the very beginning.
I was one of the voices in the administration warning about NAFTA.
Oh, I think that everybody is in favor of free and fair trade, and I think that NAFTA is proving its worth.
What difference at this point does it make?
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
So apparently now water pistols are deemed as dangerous. So say the Boy Scouts. Trust me, it's coming to a school near you real soon. Here we go. It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number, as always, if you want to get in on the action, this is real simple to do. 307-363-4093 is the number. That's 307-363-4093. And pretty much everything I'm talking about and a whole lot more, you'll find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com. So please don't tell me that you're surprised with the headline that I'm about to give you. Yes, the Boy Scouts are actually talking about banning water pistols, play with water guns. Oh, by the way, water balloons too. Well, you can still use water balloons, but you're not allowed to inflate them all the way with water. Would you still call that inflating? Well, I would say inflate. Yeah, I think that still works. Inflate them all the way with water. You can't do that because that would be dangerous. Now, in having a strategic battle conversation, as I did just before the program here, with some people who have been into, well, some serious water gun fights over the years, we've determined that, in fact, you would want the water balloon inflated to maximum capacity. Yes, a high-capacity water balloon, because a high-capacity water balloon means it's more likely to explode properly, and while it will get the person wet, it's not going to do a whole lot of damage to them. So if you're looking at your calendar now and you're thinking it's April 1st, there's no way that the Boy Scouts of all people would ban water gun fights. Go to my website. It's boldrepublic.com. This, of course, would be on the Daily Outrage page. It's a wimpification of America. Look, I got into, full disclosure here, see if any of you guys did something this stupid when you were a kid too. Hey, I got into some rock fights with friends when I was a kid. You know, we cut it out real quick because we found out when you get hit by a rock, it kind of hurts. But growing up in Florida, we ended up doing it with, well, we ended up doing it with oranges. You know, old oranges that are beginning to rot away really stink. You don't want to get hit with one of those. Already a wisecracker, the peanut gallery, front offices of American Standard Media. Does a boy now have to cross-dress and join the Girl Scouts to use a water pistol? So far, but at some point, this is going to hit the Girl Scouts too. Trust me, it will. All right, here's the story, and Twitter has already erupted. Here's the story. Two statements include on page 99 of the new Boy Scouts of America National Shooting Sports Manual. The individual's guide to safety in scouting. The two troubling statements concern the organization's policy on water guns and water balloons. First one, found on page 99, place limits on the water guns and rubber bands. Now, I wonder, you can actually go look this up Are we also talking high-capacity water guns at this point? Is that what they're worried about, the extended magazine? All right. On the following page, there is a sentence about restrictions placed on water balloons. Here's about the water guns. Quote, water guns and rubber band guns must only be used to shoot at targets, and eye protection must be worn according to the manual. Tim from Tampa chimes in on a video stream and says, if you water bomb someone, would that be a WMD, weapon of mass drenching? Yes, Tim. That's exactly what that would be. And it would. And again, are we going for full nuclear on this one? Are we going for the nuclear option on this? Well, look, I've been doing a lot of atomic research lately. I talked to you last week about someone who was killed with an atomic wedgie. So, okay. Now for the water balloon restrictions. So first off, you're only allowed to shoot at targets, and you're supposed to be wearing eye goggles. All right. What if you're already in a swimming pool? What about splashing somebody in the swimming pool? All right. Next, for water balloons, use small, biodegradable. Oh, God, we have to get green with this now. Biodegradable balloons and fill them no larger than a ping pong ball, the manual said. But again, what's the point if you're going to try to hit someone with a water balloon and it's no bigger than a ping pong ball? It's not going to explode. You've got to fill the sucker all the way. The statement about water balloons appears in the section discussing ammunition for slingshots, wrist rockets, and catapults. There's no specific mention of using water balloons as something thrown with a scout's arm. Then again, what's the point here? Brian Wendell, of Brian on Scouting Leadership Information blog, offers clarification on the limitations, directing parties to page 61 of the organization's safety scouting manual. Quote, pointing any type of firearm or simulated firearm at an individual is unauthorized. So hold on now. We are now classifying this as a firearm or a simulated firearm. And that's what I guarantee you, that's what really got these people upset more than anything else. And even though this has been happening for like ever, there's a bunch of kids running, especially boys. There's boys running around and they're pointing guns at each other and they're pulling the trigger. That's got to be upsetting. And like I pointed out yesterday, every time I talk about trigger warnings, we have to remind these people in the trigger warning crowd, the word trigger warning or the phrase trigger warning is a trigger itself because it contains the word trigger. So, okay. Carrie's on the phone. Hi, Carrie. What you got?
Hi, Glenn.
Hi.
Okay. So does anybody else on God's green earth know that it doesn't matter what rules they write? If you choose not to follow them or report them, it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. They can go ahead and write whatever the rules they want. Here's what I want to do, Carrie. You've helped me organize before. I honestly want to take these rules. There's got to be a local Boy Scout troop. And I want to do a video where basically I explain the law and then we get into a water gun fight with these people. Let them wipe the adults out. That's fine. And I want the Boy Scouts standing there with water guns held high in the air. And I want a sign that appears underneath them. I can put that in the video editor. Come and take them.
I would love to do that, Glenn.
I just got to find out if the Boy Scout troops plan to comply with these rules, or would they be willing to say, you know something, this is Wyoming, stick it.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't, just like our government chooses not to honor the fact that we have rules against illegal aliens, I think that the Boy Scouts could say, we choose not to honor the fact that they wrote this stupid rule and just let it slide.
There's a guy I just got done reading. I've told you about him before, but DJ gave me a note from him from the Cato Institute. He's writing a book that basically talks about shutting down bureaucracy in America through civil disobedience. In other words, when they write a stupid law, if everybody in the country just refused to comply, there'd be nothing they could do about it.
Exactly. Like the guy in, was it North Carolina or South Carolina, where they told him he couldn't have the flags in the back of his truck.
Yeah.
And the people came out and put flags all over their cars.
Yep.
And they had to give him back his flags because what they did was illegal. And I would have brought charges against the person who went out to my truck and took flags.
Oh, absolutely. That was trespassing. That was the vice principal. He wasn't allowed to do that.
And that is illegal. And I would have brought charges against that moron for what he did. But if people will just stand up and say, this is ridiculous, it's a water gun, and let's go. We don't have to abide by these rules just because morons pass them.
Right. Yeah. Boy Scouts across the country should break this rule for no other reason than they're Americans, and Americans don't abide by rules like this. We don't.
Well, and we are allowed to have our guns, whether they be water guns or not. And we can do what we so choose with them, i.e., except for, hurt somebody with them purposefully.
Right. Okay. See, now, and by the way, this is politically incorrect, but Carrie, whatever happened to making fun of the kid who cried because he got hit with a water balloon?
But for that matter, with the dodgeball, whatever happened to the making fun of that kid?
There you go. Not played.
Oh, wait, now you're a bully, Glenn. You can't make fun of people.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, see that now I got all sorts of trigger warnings go out there. Oh, I said trigger warning. That's a trigger warning because it has trigger in it. Thanks for calling. I love it when you get upset. Carrie it's great when Carrie calls and gets upset. Some of the comments on the video stream from Todd, from my cold, wet hands. Oh, that's good. From my cold, wet hands. See, I'm thinking we got to get a load of the local scouts here and find out if they're willing to do this. Okay, well, the statement about water balloons appears in the section discussing ammunition, slingshots, okay, and then, quote, pointing any type of firearm, a water balloon is considered a firearm now, at any individual is unauthorized. Scout units may plan or participate in, you're going to love this, paintball, laser tag, or similar events where participants shoot targets, not at each other, that are neither living nor human representation. So in other words, if it was just a bullseye, but you're not allowed to shoot at other people, Wendell said, giving support to all this, he said, a scout is kind. What part of pointing a firearm, simulated or otherwise, at someone is not kind? All right, let me be as clear as I possibly can on this. It is kind. It is. Carrie's got it right. You just simply don't comply with these at all. What should happen right now is water gun tournaments across the country. We don't listen to nonsense like this. But here's why it's kind. You're out by the pool. Your friends have all picked up water guns, and you have a water gun too. Don't you kind of feel maybe just a little bit insulted if they don't shoot at you? There's even a water gun in the vicinity, or there's some water balloons on the other side of the pool area. Don't you feel just a little bit insulted if somebody doesn't pick up the water balloon and throw it at you? Because you know you want to throw it at them. That's how you show your friends that you're friends with them, by nailing them with water pistols and water balloons. That's the point of it. It's called fun. We used to have it in this country. But then all the politically correct little, because it could be a simulated firearm, and that's a trigger warning. Saying trigger warning is a trigger warning because you're using the phrase trigger in it. So don't give me any of that. And it was correctly pointed out by Tim in Tampa that the horse trigger in the old Westerns was a trigger warning, and PETA would be insulted because the horse's name was Trigger. There you go. Take that. I honestly think we should have water gun tournaments across the country. I'm going to get a hold of the local Boy Scouts and see if they're willing to do a video. I'll let you know if they say yes or no. We'll find out how much chutzpah they have. Your National Debt Clock Countdown for May 20th, 2015. 18,234 billion. And now a message from future generations.
Americans today are more disgusted, disillusioned, and distrusting of political parties and government than ever before.
This has been your national debt clock count up.
Hey, man, what's up?
Nice weather, that's what. It's finally warm enough to light up the grill.
Hey, I'm on my way. Hey, do you need anything? I'm stopping at Don's Supermarket first.
Keeping it local, I like it. Could you pick up some hot dogs and some buns and maybe some charcoal?
Yeah, no problem. Is there anything else you need?
Yeah, can you also pick up some mahi fillets for $5.79 a pound? Can you get some Surefine sliced bacon, $3.09 a pound? We also need some Cheez-Its. They're 2 for $5. And some Kraft macaroni and cheese, 99 cents a box. Ooh, and some Surefine cottage cheese. They're 2 for $4. Don't forget the bananas, 39 cents a pound. And also get some fresh blueberries. They're 2 pints for $5. Can you also get some Bush's baked beans? They're $2.19 a can. They're all on sale until Tuesday.
Really? You want some matches to light that grill too?
No, I have a match. Well, just one. So you might need to pick some of those up too. It's a good thing you're going to Don's because, they have everything. Hello? Hello? Don Supermarket in Gillette, 1501 West 2nd Street.
I'm Professor Burke from Farmers Insurance, and this is 30 Seconds of Smart. So you want discounts on your home insurance. Upgrade your roof. Upgrade your plumbing. Get a burglar alarm. Get a fire alarm. Combine policies with your spouse. Bundle your coverage. Quit smoking. And of course, talk to farmers, because the more you know about home insurance, the more you can save.
We are farmers.
Get smarter about your insurance at farmers.com.
Stop by and see Lyle Austin, 201 West Lakeway Road in the Lakeway Professional Center, 686-5002. That's 686-5002. Hey, dispatchers, drivers, mechanics, Pro Ready Mix is seeking a concrete dispatcher in Gillette, Ready Mix driver in Rapid City, Sundance, and Gillette, and a diesel mechanic in Sundance, Belfouche, and Rapid City. There's a pre-employment drug test and work screening that's required. You must have a clean MVR. They offer competitive pay and benefit packages. So call Julie at 307-283-2221. That's 307-283-2221. Crow Ready Mix is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, honey, are you mad at me?
No, what makes you think that?
I mean, you kind of got steam coming out of your ears.
It's not coming out of my ears. I'm vaping, like smoking without the smoke. And Hothead Vapor in Gillette has more flavors than you can shake a stick at.
Hothead Vapors in Gillette, Wyoming. Electronic cigarettes, liquids, and accessories with a large selection of personal vaporizers, kits, mods, tanks, accessories, and over 260 flavors of e-liquids. 404 South Douglas Highway, Gillette, Wyoming. Open Monday through Friday, 10 till 8 p.m. weekdays, 12 to 8. And no matter where you are, you can find great deals online at hotheadvapors.com.
So, you like vaping over smoking?
Oh, heck yeah. And no stinky mess. So many flavors, and it helps me relax.
Are you relaxed now?
Sure.
Good. Because, well, I accidentally dropped the cigarette ash on your new shirt. Kind of burned a hole through it. All right, now there's steam coming out of your ears.
Hothead Vapors in Gillette, Wyoming.
If you're a free-thinking individual, you'll love this show. If you're not, well, I hear Justin Bieber is twerking with Miley on the pop station. Ew. For the thinkers, here's Glenn Woods.
Who's never twerked in his life? Ain't happening either. It's a Bold Republic radio show. Hey, don't forget. Now, if you didn't keep up with the news on this, we had some snow in Wyoming over the past few days. Rain and snow and mud and slick, and so everybody's vehicles inside now just a complete disaster. So you can go ahead and fix that anytime you want. Fast and Furious Detailing, they don't just do your individual automobiles, they'll do fleets of vehicles, no matter where you are. So get with Fast and Furious Detailing. They're located in Gillette, Wyoming. They serve all of Northeast Wyoming, and they'll take care of any job, big or small, inside the vehicle or outside the vehicle. Okay. So as I was talking a moment ago about water, Boy Scouts, water balloons, water pistols, you're not allowed to shoot those at individuals now. And even then, when you use them, you have to wear safety goggles. We are now, the Boy Scouts used to be kind of a tough group of hombres. Honestly, they were taught survival instincts. They were tough, God and country, all that kind of stuff. Not anymore. It's a complete wimpification of the Boy Scouts. It's gotten even worse than that. Let's go to another school where not water pistols, not balloons anymore. No, Nerf. Now we have a New Jersey 5th grader suspended for having Nerf gun bullet in his pocket. Why? Because, zero tolerance. Remember what I told you about zero tolerance before? Zero tolerance means zero thinking. Because they said zero tolerance in this, that means no one's allowed to think. They have to do exactly what the rules say, even if the rules don't make any sense. So here's basically the story on this. This 5th grader is talking to his teacher, and he has to reach in his pocket and pull out a note from home. When he pulls out the note from home, the offending Nerf bullet falls out and hits the ground. Now, it's a little worse than that. Yeah, the Nerf bullet had some toothpicks in it. Oh, dear God. Now, you might be thinking, toothpicks in the Nerf bullet. That could only mean he was trying to put somebody's eye out, but that wasn't the case at all. He wanted it when he fired it at the ground to stick in the ground. So he was trying to put toothpicks in there to make sure it would stick in the ground. That's the gist of it. Here's the story. May 8th, Atlantic City, New Jersey. 5th grader Aaron Moody reached into his pocket to receive a late note from his mother, and a Nerf gun foam bullet fell out. Officials at the Atlantic City School District categorized the toy bullet as a self-constructed weapon because it had toothpicks stuck in it. Now, that says intent. In other words, they're trying to say this is what he intended to do. He intended to hurt somebody with that. There's no proof that he intended to hurt someone with that. As a result, he received a 5-day in-school suspension and a notation on his permanent record for the rest of his life, stating that he brought a makeshift weapon to school. Oh, let me ask you, if that's a makeshift weapon, and I'm very serious here, if that's a makeshift weapon, what good is it if he doesn't have the gun to fire it? He would need a Nerf gun to fire it, but he didn't bring that, so it's obviously not a weapon. According to Fox News, 5th grader put toothpicks into Nerf bullets so they would stick to the ground when fired from the Nerf gun. Moody said he did not put the toothpicks in to cause mischief. The 5th grader said, they want me to say that I did it on purpose and I put it in my pocket to hurt somebody. I like what this kid's doing here. This kid he's not putting up with this. That's not why I put the toothpicks in there, and I'm not going to say it, is basically what he's saying. His mom's fighting this. The school initially told the mom her son would be expelled. The school weapon policy bans anything readily capable of causing lethal bodily injury. So once again, I was chatting with the crack research staff at American Standard Media, and we were kicking around this idea, and we came across a whole slew of, for example, I would like to know if in the principal's office, does the principal have a letter opener? If not the principal, perhaps the receptionist or secretary. And does that letter opener resemble a weapon? Because a lot of them do, like little swords, things like that. I would like to go into the principal's office, the desk, with his zero tolerance policy, and take a good look at what these people have laying around in their drawers and on their desktops. For that matter, let's go to the coach's office, because I guarantee the coach does. Does the coach have a bat? If the coach has a bat, then you know it can be used as a weapon. Therefore, the coach needs to lose his job.
Here's an idea. Let's raise your property taxes to the point that nobody can afford their home and everybody has to move out of town. Yeah, that'll grow the city.
Has this ever happened to you? You vote for a charismatic young politician only to be disappointed by his undelivered promises of hope and change. If you're like much of the American voting public, you surely have. Has your car been marred by an unsightly blemish? Has your property value decreased due to the regretful political statements on your neighbor's car? Are you tired of being embarrassed to drive through your own neighborhood? Hi, I'm Brad Stein, and I'd like to introduce you to a brand new product that can help you cleanse your car and your life from any regretful election day decision. Introducing the Obama Bumper Sticker Removal Kit. How does it work? Let me show you. Simply pull your car into a garage, empty warehouse, or otherwise inconspicuous area. Use the official BS scraper to remove the old BS from your car and replace it with a brand new bumper sticker. It's just that easy. Even works on a Prius. What about your friend, neighbor, or that hippie stepbrother who bought into that Obama BS? Don't make him live in shame. Anonymously send him a BS removal kit of his very own. The BS removal kit works on BS of all kinds. Hope and change. Change you can believe in. And that oh so hard to get rid of Obama-Biden BS. So rid your car and your life of Obama BS today. Only at bsremoval.com. The Obama Bumper Sticker Removal Kit does not get rid of higher taxes. Mandatory health insurance or high unemployment. Satisfaction is not guaranteed because, well, you've already proven that you don't make very good decisions.
Jenkins!
Yes, sir. Here, sir.
Jenkins, I've decided to go ahead and purchase those new company vehicles.
Sir, we talked about this. Our company doesn't need company vehicles for anything. There's simply no reason to buy them.
Oh, yes, I know.
And we certainly don't need to be overcharged for those SUVs.
Oh, no, we don't.
Luxury SUVs.
6 doors.
With hot tubs.
Love those bubbles.
Each with a 52-inch flat screen TV.
Can't miss the big game.
And solar-powered martini makers.
Shanked, not stirred.
With a ride-along hibachi shaft.
And those chrome wheels mounts that spin all on their own.
And 32-inch subwoofers.
Get down with your bad self.
And we're in debt up to our eyeballs as it is, sir.
Right you are.
So were you planning to borrow even more money to buy these things?
Yes, but don't worry. I'm just going to keep this off the books. You can't see the problem? There is no problem.
Sir, private sector business is not for you. I'd like you to run for the U.S. Senate.
You know, I've often thought about it.
You'd fit right in, sir.
There's never been a better time for your police department to stock up on military-grade equipment. Tons of equipment! And the Pentagon wants your department to get that equipment for free! Free! Leave the nightsticks to the bobbies. Because here at the Pentagon's 1033 program, everything must go! We're talking Bearcats, tanks, grenade launchers, M16 rifles, everything! Tear gas, smoke bomb, body armor, sports utility vehicles, mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, everything! The airplanes, bomb-defusing robots, little to no training at all, and more trumped-up adrenaline than your body can even handle! Got some BS demonstration? Gas that thing. Got a jaywalker? Chase him down with a free helicopter. Oh, you think your town's too small for a tank? We've given tanks to Fargo, North Dakota, Story County, Iowa, and Keene, New Hampshire. Got a strawberry festival? You need a tank. Is your town having music in the park? You need a tank. Got a community theater production of 12th Night? You needed the tank, good sir. It's a free tank. We gave away $500 million in gear last year, and we're ready to give away even more. Apply to the Defense Logistics Agency at this 1-800 number below. The 1033 program, bringing local police departments military-grade equipment from our war zone to your war zone. God bless America.
Need to let off a little steam? Yep, that's why we installed phone lines into the studio. Call Glenn now.
It's the Bold Public Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number if you want to get involved in the action. Real simple. 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093. And pretty much everything I'm talking about and a whole lot more, you'll find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com. There's more chatter going on here about the first topic that I picked up, which again, now I agree with Carrie. Let me solve this for you. You know, I like to solve problems in the simplest possible way. So I'm going to solve this. For those just joining us, yes, the Boy Scouts in their manual are banning water gun fights. You're only allowed to use a water gun if you're shooting at a target, and then you have to have goggles. Then there's another school that suspended a kid. They almost wanted to expel him because he had a little Nerf bullet in his pocket, a Nerf bullet. Yes, it had a couple of toothpicks stuck in it, but he wasn't trying to hurt anybody with it. It was so it would stick to the ground when he fired it at the ground. He didn't have a Nerf gun, but still zero tolerance. All right. Carrie called earlier and said that we don't have to participate. And she's absolutely right. And there's the solution to the problem. We don't have to participate in this. So you want your son to be a Boy Scout. Great. And the moment your scout troop turns and says, well, we don't do water gun fights, because, you know, I mean, it's considered to be a simulated firearm, and it's not nice to shoot at other people. Get your kid out of the scout troop, immediately go take him hunting, and then have him join a martial art class where not only can he learn how to use his hands and feet and knees and elbows for self-defense, but he gets to use cool things like swords and staffs and nunchucks. That way, when your boy grows up, he doesn't grow up to be a victim. He doesn't grow up to be a little sniveling wimp who's afraid to even pick up a water pistol. That's how you handle that. You get your kid out of that school, you get your kid out of that scout troop, and you go take him places where he can learn to be a man. And for those people that would look at me and say, well, that's a sexist thing. You can learn to be a man. Why, that's horrible. Well, you know something? I don't really want a kid growing up to be some little wimp who's going to be taken advantage of by the bullies that are out there in this world. And there are bullies out there in the world. It's a real situation. It's real life. And you better be ready to deal with it or you're going to get yourself hurt. I'm sorry, but that's the way the world is. Welcome to the human race. Nick on the video stream properly points out that now we need to ban the states of Idaho and Florida, because when you turn them on their side, they look like a gun. Absolutely true. Tim in Tampa says, do we ban the game at carnivals whenever you shoot a water gun in a clown's mouth? That's absolutely barbaric. You're right, Tim. And think about that. Anytime a carnival comes to town, the clowns beat on each other, for that matter. Some kid could show up and, wow, it witnessed some horrible event. Why do we allow movies at our movie theaters like The Avengers? Or different television shows that have all sorts of violence there? Now, if that's the world you want to raise your kid in, where your kid turns out to be a sniveling wimp who, if he's ever attacked, will not be able to handle himself, you enjoy that world. I'm sorry you have to live that way. Now, I've got a couple of stories coming up next of some people who actually took matters into their own hands and were able to defend themselves. Experiment watching on the video stream says, what next? If I get mad and nearly beat someone to death with my textbook, would they ban textbooks? I might, you know something? In fact, the Dan and I, before the show, were going through a list of things that are just in front of anybody at school that can be used as a weapon. In the cafeteria, the plastic forks and spoons and knives can be used, the chairs. You can take a tray. Don't just think of hitting someone over the head with the tray. You could take the tray and hit them in the throat with it, sideways. It's all sorts of things that are, all right, that are dangerous. But, you know, if your kid learned how to defend himself, he wouldn't have to worry about that. So what about cases where people actually successfully defended themselves because they were not raised to be wimps? I got those stories next.
Windfall profit tax? I'm being taxed for success?
You've earned it. It's not greedy if you want to keep it. Be bold, live free.
Do you live in Gillette, Cheyenne, Sundance, Laramie, Buffalo? Do you have a Class A CDL with a doubles endorsement? Do you like making money? If you answered yes, Aulick Leasing can help you. Apply online at aulickleasing.com or give me, Chris Anderson, a call, 308-633-4023. That's 308-633-4023.
Admiral Nelson was on the hunt for a wild turkey when suddenly Jack Daniels jumped out, took a shot of Bacardi, which made him fall on the black velvet floor. Jose Singe was not impressed, so he grabbed the Smirnoff vodka from McGuire's, loaded up a Seagram 7, and set sail with Captain Morgan.
How'd you come up with that story?
Well, so I was looking for some inspiration, so I went to Jack's and took my best shot. And then I took another.
This month at Jack's, fifths of Admiral Nelson, Jose Singe, Smirnoff Vodka, Bacardi, Wild Turkey, Jack Daniels, McGuire's, and Black Velvet. Half gallons of Captain Morgan and Seagram's. Jack's Liquor, your adult daycare center, 302 East 2nd Street, across from Napa Auto Parts in Gillette.
And then I took another.
Smithers, you look exhausted.
Oh, sir, I was at the office half the night.
Really? Well, that's the third night this week.
Yes, sir. I just can't seem to stay away. I'm not sure what's gotten into me.
Dedication, son. I haven't seen that kind of work ethic in years.
Right. Well, I'll probably be at the office late again tonight. There's just so much to do.
You'll want to work late every night at the Office Saloon with Doc McGillicuddy Monday. Tap that Tuesdays, screw it Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays, and thank God it's Friday with Bud and Bud Light specials. And at the office, you'll even want to work weekends, Saturday nights, ladies' nights, and mini-me Sundays. Work late at the Office Saloon, U.S. Highway 14 in Gillette, Wyoming, out toward the airport.
Smithers, is there any luck with that client you've been chasing?
Oh, yes, sir. Last night, she gave me her phone number.
Attaboy, Smithers, attaboy.
It's that time of year again. This is Bruce at Marshall Jewelry in Gillette, and it's that time of year. It's time to start thinking about graduation gifts. Watches have long been a traditional favorite as a graduation gift. Many people think it costs $200 or even $300 or $400 for a nice watch. Not anymore. What would you say if I told you we had Citizen watches for less than $100? Citizen has a line of watches that retail for under $100. Citizen has the best warranty in the business. It's hard to imagine a 5-year warranty on watches that cost under $100. See store for details. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it guaranteed.
Hey, honey, are you mad at me?
No, what makes you think that?
You kind of got steam coming out of your ears.
It's not coming out of my ears. I'm vaping, like smoking without the smoke. And Hothead Vapor in Gillette has more flavors than you can shake a stick at.
Hothead Vapors in Gillette, Wyoming. Electronic cigarettes, liquids, and accessories with a large selection of personal vaporizers, kits, mods, tanks, accessories, and over 260 flavors of e-liquids. 404 South Douglas Highway, Gillette, Wyoming. Open Monday through Friday, 10 till 8 p.m. weekdays, 12 to 8. And no matter where you are, you can find great deals online at hotheadvapors.com.
So, you like vaping over smoking?
Oh, heck yeah. And no stinky mess. So many flavors, and it helps me relax.
Are you relaxed now?
Sure.
Good. Because, well, I accidentally dropped the cigarette ash on your new shirt. Kind of burned a hole through it. All right, now there's steam coming out of your ears.
Hothead Vapors in Gillette, Wyoming.
We here at the radio station are firmly convinced the pod people have taken over the minds of your elected officials. Well, it's either that or they're just that stupid and crazy. Seriously, which is more plausible? I'll let Glenn explain it. Here he is.
So while you guys were listening to those fine commercial sponsors, the Dan has to write a commercial. Right? Poor guy, we've been in cold and wet rain and snow for days now. It's finally looking like it's clearing up, but it's cold out there. So he writes this commercial. You can tell he's dreaming about summertime. He just wants for all 2 days that it's going to be summertime in this part of the country. Get a load of this. So he writes, non-supermarket in Gillette, locally owned and operated. And he writes, baby back ribs, $3.49 per pound. Seedless watermelon, $3.99 per pound. Where is his mind at? Yeah, he's out living summertime. Lay's potato chips, buy one, get one free. Van Camp's baked beans, 59 cents a can. Let me see. Germanic Greek yogurt, am I pronouncing that right? 10 for $10. Kraft Cool Whip. Is it Cool Whip or Cool Whip? I guess you've never watched Family Guy if you don't know why that's funny. 99 cents. Sweet corn, 10 for $4.50. Dan needs a summer vacation, and he's probably going to have to leave Wyoming to do it. So, okay, you can raise your kids to be a bunch of whips. Literally, and New Jersey's another one that does this. New Jersey tried to ban kids from playing with like dodgeball, but just any game that has a ball that had any kind of what they called violence in it. You know, football, you could get hit by a soccer ball, definitely not dodgeball. They tried to ban all of that. Parents went crazy. Then you got to, well, kids cannot carry like a Nerf bullet in their pocket. They get in trouble by the school because, you know, it's a bullet and that's dangerous. And because zero tolerance. Cub Scouts, you can't do water gun fights anymore. You can't squirt somebody with a water gun. Dear God. So you're raising a nation of wimps. So again, get your kids out of those places. If for those parents who want their kids to be raised that way, let them raise wimps. That's fine. Those wimps will end up working as employees for your companies. No, I'm sorry, they won't. Those wimps will wind up on the government dole, collecting off of the rest of us who work for a living. Get a load of this. Suspect breaks into a house. He's in the middle of attacking the husband. He gets shot by the wife. We just did a commercial for Marshall Jewelries. Guys, if there's ever a time to buy your wife a diamond ring and show her how much that you love her, it's when she shoots the guy who's invading your home and beating the tar out of your husband as he tries to protect you. So that protect the wife. So that's when you show your wife how much you love her. She picked up the gun and killed the guy. Story happened in Jacksonville, Florida, Tuesday. That'd be last Tuesday. Jacksonville man. Oh, by the way, the woman is from Texas. So go figure. Shot an invader who broke into their home, fought with the husband, and, well, he won't be fighting with anyone anymore. Convicted sexual predator reads the next headline. Now, I love this one. I want to find this woman. I want to know if she's single. There's this woman in great shape. She runs, works out. She studies martial arts. She's going for a run. There's a sexual predator in this town. He tackles her right off the running path into the woods, pins her down, and says to her, don't make any noise and you won't get hurt. Now, what she says back, 2 words she says back. The last word is you. The first word I can't say on the air. So, at that, trained as a martial artist, she begins to fight back. She put the creep in a hospital. So what kind of a kid do you want to raise into adulthood? Do you want to raise someone who can handle a home invasion, who can handle some pervert that would tackle her off the running path and into the woods? Or do you want to raise somebody who's afraid to pick up a water gun and point it at someone? Who's afraid to carry a Nerf bullet because somebody was expelled from school because they were carrying a Nerf bullet? Please tell me what kind of a kid you would rather raise. I want to raise someone who can actually take care of himself. That's what I'd like to see.
According to a new report based on hundreds of interviews with the terminally ill, the Princeton Medical Institute has found that the most common deathbed regret, more than losing contact with family or spending too much time at the office, is never having sprayed a fire extinguisher all over the place.
Similar themes emerged in our interviews with dying patients. Some wished that they'd taken more risks. Others wished that they'd lived a life truer to their dreams. But almost every single person surveyed, regardless of their age or circumstance, said that their most significant regret was never having grabbed a fire extinguisher off a wall and blasted it around a room until it ran out of foam.
I've lived a good life. I was a nurse for 32 years. I have 3 beautiful children, but I've never smashed my elbow into a glass case, grabbed a fire extinguisher, and gone whoosh over everything.
I just wish I could. The foam everywhere. I'd be like, yeah, everything covered in foam.
Researchers found that besides regretting never having deployed a fire extinguisher, people on their deathbed also regretted not having chucked a fire extinguisher out of a window, used it to bash in a door, or rolled it on the ground towards a thief to trip him up.
The day we got the diagnosis, it was just so hard because it means I don't get to grow up. And that's really sad because it means I don't get to take one of those big red fire extinguishers and pull the thing back and watch it go everywhere. But maybe I'll get lucky though. Maybe there'll be some fire extinguishers in heaven.
A radio show? Yeah. Tip of the iceberg. Check out the YouTube videos. See what Glenn's talking about on Facebook and Twitter. You can find out more at boldrepublic.com.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. As always, pretty much everything I talk about, a whole lot more. You'll find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com. You can listen on fine local radio stations or on Spreaker. There's an app for that, by the way. Just go to your app store, type in Bold Republic. Up comes the app. You download it. There you are. Anytime you want to hear the show, whether it's live or local, there's the program right there. You can even watch on the video stream, which Tim from Tampa is doing, and he just left a note here saying he's offended by the name Boy Scouts. It's not because he's trying to be sexist, but because it's not accurate. I tell you what, Tim, make a list of alternate names for Boy Scouts that I can actually say on radio stations. Like Wimp Scouts, if you want to do that, the WPs. The WS, Wimp Scouts. Yeah, I mean, just think about what you want to do there for names that I could actually say on the air, and maybe we can go ahead and more accurately name them. Now, some of the stories that I just told you, like I just got done telling you about the young man who reached into his pocket, pulled out a note from home, accidentally didn't remember that he had a Nerf bullet in his pocket. And so the Nerf bullet fell onto the ground. And he had a couple of toothpicks in there because he was trying to get it to stick into the ground. He wasn't meaning anyone any harm. He didn't even bring the gun. He was suspended for 5 days. He could have been expelled. That's New Jersey for you. New Jersey is also the place that banned balls, tried to ban them. The parents got upset. Balls at school because somebody could get hurt, like soccer, football, no dodgeball, of course. So they tried to ban that. New Jersey is also the place where you're not allowed to pump your own gasoline. You can everywhere else in the country, but apparently, why do people make fun of the South? I got to ask you this. I was raised in the South, and people like to make fun of Southerners as we're just stupid and inept. Fine. You make fun of us until something's broke. Then all of a sudden you need us. We're not, so we're stupid. You guys in New Jersey can't even pump your own gas. Everywhere else in the country does, but New Jersey can't pump their own gas. Here's the headline. New Jersey is considering lifting a ban on self-serve gas stations. Legislators worried about public safety. Wow. The one task that you can perform by yourself anywhere else in the country. And by the way, just so you know, I have seen this happen. I have been at a gas station just outside of New Jersey and saw someone get out of their car and walk over to the pump and scratch their head because they didn't know how the thing operated, because they've never been outside of the state where they had to pump their own gas. They didn't know how to do it. What kind of a nation do you want to raise? I like a nation of people who are self-sufficient. Honestly, self-sufficient. That's what I'd like to see. Next headline falls right, as far as I'm concerned, falls right into what we've been talking about the entire hour, but we're dealing with adults now. A mom was arrested, shackled, jailed, because her honor roll student son had 3 unexcused absences at school. Now, he was still an honor roll student, but he had 3 unexcused absences. Therefore, you show up and arrest the woman, put her in shackles and chains, and haul her off. I'm going to ask you again, folks. It's the theme of this entire hour. Is this the nation that you want? Is this what you want? You want this? This is what you want? Now, I'm glad she's gone to the press with the story, and this thing needs to go nationwide, needs to go viral, as we stand up and say, absolutely not, hell no, this is not what America's supposed to be. You don't arrest mom and chain her up. That Reno television station I've told you guys about, I get to do that, a couple of little morning segments by Skype on a Reno news station that's doing morning news. One of the questions today, first, Reno, Nevada, but they were asking a question that was coming out of Atlanta, where they're now ticketing people. The police will pull you over and ticket you if you're driving too slow, especially on the freeways. My first thought is, who's going the speed limit in Atlanta? Have you driven on those roads? I don't think it's possible, but okay. My thought is, if somebody's driving too fast on the road, you don't give them a ticket. I know the city wants the money, and they can make more money by pulling people over and and ticketing them for going too slow as well. My thought was always the same for both of them. Pull them over, make them wait 20 minutes, then let them go. That'll teach them. And that'll frustrate the hell out of them, too. Let them sit there for 20 minutes, and then we'll let them go. Now, see, that's due punishment for driving too fast or slow or something. But is this the country that you want to live in, where we're teaching our kids to be afraid of Nerf and water, where parents are arrested in shackles and chains because their kid missed some school? Is that what you want, honestly? And you're not allowed to pump your own gas like everybody else in the nation does because it's a safety concern. Is this the nation? I remember talking with some people some years ago that honestly believed, and I'm serious, they honestly believe this, that space aliens have taken over. Not space aliens. The French have taken over, and everybody is just turning into a pile of wimps. Gender ambiguous scouts. Gas. That's a good name, Tim. I like that.
I'm Dan Joseph. Tonight, we are joined by a very special guest who hasn't been taking many questions from the press lately, but she has been gracious enough to sit down and talk to us. Thank you so much for agreeing to this interview, Mrs. Clinton. Okay, well, let's get started. Recently, questions have been raised about the Clinton Foundation. How do you respond to these accusations? Is her mic on? Okay, let's move on. Polls show that you were the clear frontrunner for the Democratic presidential nomination. But recently, Senator Bernie Sanders announced that he was getting into the race, and yes, I think a lot of us reacted that way to his announcement. There are still some questions about your role in the events surrounding the Benghazi attacks.
Don't you dare.
Ms. Clinton, there are legitimate concerns.
That is not the debate.
Well, will you at least tell us?
No.
Mrs. Clinton, as a presidential candidate, reporters are going to ask you a lot of questions on this topic.
That's not acceptable.
Well, they're going to ask.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Ambassador Stevens is dead, Mrs. Clinton.
It's one of the very important differences that sets us apart.
Let's just move on to the next topic.
Absolutely.
What was in all of those emails that you deleted, Mrs. Clinton?
I made a mistake.
Yeah, it was pretty stupid.
In retrospect, it appears even more so.
But can you tell us why you decided to have your own server?
For all kinds of reasons.
Were you trying to hide something?
Of course.
Wow. Okay. So what were in the emails that you were hiding?
They're very both personal and political.
How do you respond to those who say that you and your husband are fundamentally dishonest?
That's part of our DNA.
Fair enough. What would you say was your greatest accomplishment as Secretary of State? You can't think of anything. Just one thing.
Traveling endlessly a lot.
What about once you got off the airplane?
I don't know.
Some people say that you didn't accomplish anything positive at all and that the Middle East is even more of a mess than it was before you took office.
That's what they should say.
Listen, I have to ask you, what is the status of your marriage with former President Clinton?
No, I mean, there's hardly anything left. I stopped caring.
I'm very sorry to hear that. What was that?
Gas.
Well, those Chipotle burritos will do that to you. If your marriage is in such a terrible state, then what is it that has kept Bill by your side for all these years?
Rump.
Okay, you. But he must still love you a little bit.
Oh, he does not.
Who has Bill been hanging out with while you're on the campaign trail?
Women.
Are the two of you actively seeing other people?
Oh, I may. You're so young.
Things just got really creepy. One thing that your supporters have pointed to is your record on protecting women's reproductive rights. What message do you have for women about your stance on abortion?
It's hard to get a little bit pregnant.
Touché. Have you ever seen the film Gladiator?
If you're not tough enough to get into that arena, then truly, you should not even put your toe in.
Agreed. What is your current relationship like with President Obama?
Oh boy, you are asking me to cross into dangerous waters.
But he was always cordial with you when you worked for him, right?
Well, he was worse than not a nice guy.
Oh, wow. Well, as a White House insider, how would you describe President Obama's vision for the world?
He'd be perfectly happy if the Soviet Union could be reconstituted, but he's enough of a realist to know that's not going to happen.
How do you know that?
The president told me.
You know, a lot of us have suspected that from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Give us a preview of what your administration will be like if you get elected president.
Political messes. Lots of dysfunction, lots of finger pointing, inability to reach consensus and compromise.
So essentially the same as it's been under Obama.
Yes.
Another 8 years of that might just destroy the country.
Oh, I may.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for this interview, Mrs. Clinton. It's been very enlightening.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Dan. My name is Dan.
We've invested a lot in prisons. We've spent billions and billions and billions of dollars building prisons, and yet 40+% of those who leave prison end up back in prison. That's a failure rate. If we went to a hospital where 40% of the patients had to go back because they were still sick, we'd find a new hospital. We'd redesign it. And that's essentially what conservatives are saying here. Obviously, we want the public safe, but the way government has gone about it isn't working.
You're listening to the Bacon Radio Network.
I certainly do remember that trip to Bosnia.
The welcoming ceremony had to be moved inside because of sniper fire.
And we basically were told to run to our cars. Now that is what happened.
Part of what I believe with all my heart is that the voters are tired of people who lie to them.
That was not a vote for war.
I actually started criticizing the war in Iraq before he did.
By the summer of 2004, Senator Obama said he wasn't sure how he would have voted.
If you had been a member of the Senate, you would have voted against the resolution.
Yes, I would have agreed with our senior Senator Dick Durbin and voted nay.
The voters are tired of people who lie to them.
You know, I have been a critic of NAFTA from the very beginning.
I was one of the voices in the administration warning about NAFTA.
Oh, I think that everybody is in favor of free and fair trade, and I think that NAFTA is proving its worth.
What difference at this point does it make?
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
So just let me ask you real quick here. If you had taken an oath to this country, is there a word you would have changed in that oath, maybe knowing what you know now? It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. And as always, phone lines open. In fact, at this point, DJ, they can go ahead and change the topic if they want. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. That's 307-363-4093. And pretty much everything I'm talking about and a whole lot more, you'll find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com, from the state of Wyoming, just up the road from where I am. There's, Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 7756. They're voting to make a change, just a word, to clarify about an oath that they took. All right, now, and out of the pages that I've received here, here's the statement. In a speech at the local post meeting to push for the vote, member Nicholas DeLotte stated, "There are veterans of foreign wars here from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, Afghanistan, Kosovo, and Iraq. Our oath hasn't changed during all of those generations, and not a single one of us vowed through this oath to support the government. We swore to support and defend the Constitution of the United States." Many times, those are two different things. The vote last night carried with only one nay vote. The word changed will now be presented to VFWs in the state of Wyoming first, and at their state convention in June. And if voted for, will end up heading out nationally. So the question is, simply put, if you voted and if you made an oath to defend and uphold what exactly? The Constitution of the United States or the government of the United States? And that's what they're clarifying, basically, by changing a word. We want to defend the Constitution of the United States, because knowing what you know now, looking at your government as it is now, would you defend this government? Would you defend a government that, let's say, had gone so far as into tyranny? Would you still defend that government? Because we see the government can change. The Constitution hasn't. Yeah, I know we amended a couple of things, but the Constitution hasn't changed. Not in its original intent anyway, but the people who are running the government certainly have changed. And so this is something that I can see going across the nation. That this one post has voted this way. They now present it to the state, then it goes nationwide. from what they've sent me here. The purpose of this, a patriotic, historic, charitable education. This is what they get together to do, to preserve and strengthen our comradeship among its members, to assist worthy comrades, to perpetuate the memory and history of the dead, to assist their widows and orphans, maintain allegiance to the government of the United States, is what it used to say. But now instead they're changing that and saying to the Constitution of the United States, not to the government. Okay. So they want to make that one little change. Personally, I think it's a great idea, considering, again, your government makes changes all the time. Who they are, how they govern changes. But what the Constitution says really hasn't changed all that much, and its original charter still stands. All right. I'm going to head over now to, and I recognize this guy immediately. And I'm asking you guys if you can help me make a list. I came across a congressman. You probably have heard this in the past couple of days. A congressman who is making an argument for getting a raise. This congressman is a little upset because I believe it's been about 7 years since Congress has gotten a raise. And he, in his own words, you're going to hear him right now, thinks that Congress should get a raise. Well, hold on. I was just talking about Nick DeLotte of the Campbell County Observer. Nick is on line one. Hi, Nick. What you got for me?
Hey, I just wanted to elaborate on the segment you just had.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we were talking about in the VFW meeting last night when I went to present this wordage is, and you said it right on spat, you said that we have all taken an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that during that oath, government sometimes separates from that Constitution, and we never took an oath to support the government.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, one thing interesting that we were talking about is the word honor, and the word honor has been misinterpreted, of course, over generations, as you know. But it is not very much in many people's lives anymore. But honor is still in quite a few people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Veterans are one of those. To really define honor, it's basically upholding an oath, upholding a vow, upholding a promise, basically doing what you say you're going to do.
Right.
Okay. We took an oath. Everybody that's a military veteran took an oath to support and defend the Constitution. Now, the government, basically, through our charter, has been asking us to support them. But if they're not acting constitutional, we never took an oath. It's not against our honor to do that, but it is for our honor to defend our Constitution against our government if that deems necessary.
Now, let me play a little devil's advocate, because I like what you're doing. I think this is the right move to make. But you are going to then be compared with the oath takers. And the oath takers essentially said the same thing. These are firemen, police officers, military, and so on. And if they were given an order, like in New Orleans, where after Hurricane Katrina, they were supposed to go and take the guns away from citizens, and they refused to do so. That's an unconstitutional order. So you can imagine how the irrelevant press has been treating them. So this story spreads across the nation.
If you read the entire oath that we take for office, it also says that while we're in active duty service, that we will fall under take the orders of the Commander-in-Chief of the United States military and the chain of command.
Right.
Okay. Now, that's why we're in active duty. Right now, we do not have to take orders from the president while you're not on active duty. Only people on active duty or in active reserves, or however you want to call it, people called up to service have to follow the military chain of command. But in the oath, it's to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Right.
If that, unfortunately, and I would hope that this would never happen, especially in my generation and my children's generation, but if that enemy is domestic, then it is actually part of our honor to where we have to defend that.
Now, again, I agree, but you understand what's going to be said about you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now the question is somebody, cowardly enough to back down from that fight because of what's going to be said about you, or are you willing to stand up for that fight?
Right.
Now, one thing that, I'd like to talk about here real quick is that we're not doing this to actually go to war with the United States government. We are the veterans of foreign wars. We're the only people who have actually defended this country personally. Okay. We, are not intending on any of this. What this is intended to be is to go up to national and have a statement to the federal government saying that we are the people who have defended this country. If you act constitutional you do not have our support, and our support should matter immensely.
Yeah.
It's basically a statement that we're trying to do. We're doing a very nice, very peaceful political statement saying, watch your butts because we're watching you.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's interesting now you've passed this here. Now you go on to the state level, right?
Yep. Now we go on to the state level, and we're going to be lobbying there at the state convention here in next month to see if the state will pass it, the state of Wyoming, Veterans of Foreign Wars. And if it passes there, then it will be going to the national convention in Pittsburgh.
All right. All right. And then after that, we'll see what kind of news it makes.
We'll have to see.
All right. Thanks for calling in. Duff is hanging on line 3. Hi, Duff. How are you?
Hey, I'm waiting to get in on LC Hastings.
Oh, yeah? Dive in. What you got?
Okay, number one, don't take this the wrong way, but is he yours or is he mine? Is he Republican or Democrat? He's a Democrat, ain't he?
I believe he is, yeah.
Isn't he the guy that just got slammed here a few years back for some nefarious activities?
Now, for those who don't know what we're talking about, we're talking about the congressman who says he wants a raise. That's who he's talking about.
Yeah. It's LC Hastings, right?
I think so. And
I
I'm
think
going to
in
just a moment here
he
play.
got caught for some nefarious activities.
Right. And, as far as I'm concerned, Duff, here's something you and I can both agree on. This guy could be a Democrat or a Republican, and we can expect the same kind of behavior out of him.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to get that out of the way so that didn't intermingle into our conversation.
Okay. Well, let me throw you one more thing, because I recognized his voice the moment he started to talk. He's the same exact congressman who some years ago said this about congressional rules.
When the deal goes down, all of this talk about rules, we make them up as we go along.
You remember that guy?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's the same exact guy.
Anyhow, I was kind of following along on this loosely today. Very rare, but I actually had to be in Gillette all day today. But as far as giving them a pay raise and complaining because they haven't had one in 7 years,
yeah.
Number one, they ain't doing the job that they're supposed to be doing, so why should we give them a raise?
He actually says, and let me address that real quick. He actually says in there, and I'm going to play it after the break, and I'm going to play the full statement, or at least a good part of it, that, well, now we actually have to justify a raise to the American people. Yes, you do. So, okay, let's go ahead and give him a job performance rating and see if he should get a raise or get fired.
All right, but the other thing that come to mind when this whole thing started up yesterday afternoon, my initial thought was, hey, if you guys want a raise, go back to the money men that bought and paid for you and got you elected, get the money from them.
Yeah. See, I'm not too worried about his retirement. He gets to retire with a nice fat pension, first off. That and there's all the political favors that he's done over the years. That's going to make him millions. And we're probably going to see him come back as a lobbyist. So I'm not worried about his financial future at all.
No, I'm just saying, somebody needs to tell them, hey, just go to the people that bought and paid for you and got you elected.
Sure.
Tell them to give you some more money.
Yeah, why should we pay more? There's people out there who are buying influence. Well, maybe they should cough up the money. Maybe he should just send them a bill.
No, I'm not going to waste my time sending him a bill.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for calling in, Duff. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've got the full statement by this Mr. Hastings here, and I'm going to play the whole thing for you. But yeah, once again, it's a congressman who his opinion is we need to give him a raise. Congress hasn't had a raise in 7 is it 7? Yeah, 7 years. So let me ask you guys, should Congress get a raise? Even if they haven't had one in 7 years, should they get a raise? Better yet, he wants you to review Congress's job performance to see if we should give them a raise or not. All right, let's do that next.
Bold Republic.
This is Bruce at Marshall Jewelry in Gillette, and as many of you know, emerald is the birthstone for May. Anciently, emerald was considered to be a symbol of faith, kindness, and goodness. The Romans believed looking through an emerald refreshed tired eyes. The Emperor Nero is said to have refreshed and restored his vision by viewing gladiators in combat through a fine emerald. At Marshall Jewelry, we have a great selection of beautiful emerald jewelry in both natural and created stones. We have pieces that start around $200 and a large selection between $300 and $500. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it guaranteed.
Do you live in Gillette, Cheyenne, Sundance, Laramie, Buffalo? Do you have a Class A CDL with a doubles endorsement? Do you like making money? If you answered yes, Aulick Leasing can help you. Apply online at aulickleasing.com or give me, Chris Anderson, a call, 308-633-4023. That's 308-633-4023.
You could either spend $100 getting your phone fixed, or you could go ahead and spend $400 to replace it. At Selectel Wireless and Gillette, we fix phones. Most generally, what breaks is the digitizer or the LCD. This is from being dropped, being smashed, thrown against the wall. No, seriously, 9 times out of 10, people throw their phones. Well, we can fix that too. Save money, fix it, don't replace it. Come see us at Selectel Wireless, next to Office Depot in Gillette, Wyoming. But if you do need a new phone, we have those too.
So over in that corner, we have 3 guys talking about Bigfoot. Over there, they're talking about the game that's on the TV above their heads. That table, I've lost track of what they were talking about a long time ago, but the conversation keeps getting louder. Then someone puts their favorite song in the jukebox, and here comes that guy who thinks he can dance, but he can't dance, but he thinks he can. Nobody really cares that he can. In a moment, I'm going to walk over to their giant humidor and pick out a nice stogie. They have great cigars in a huge humidor. Pat's Liquor, where if you haven't made friends, then you haven't been there more than 2 minutes. Give it another minute and make some friends at Pat's Liquor, 600 South Douglas Highway, Gillette, Wyoming, right next to Wells Fargo Bank. Happy hour, 4:30 till 7.
Remember that one time when the president made that one good decision about that one thing and everyone in Congress cast their well-informed vote in agreement and the nation was better for it? Remember? I'm sure it must have happened once. Anyway, let's get back to the show. Here's Glenn Woods.
All right, so let's get back to this congressman. He wants a job performance review. We should give him a job performance review. And to be fair to him, I'm going to play, just because of, for time's sake here, just I would say most of what he had to say. Well, he goes on for a while, and he's a bit of a slow talker, so I don't want to bore you too much with this. But okay, here's a congressman that wants to make the case to the American people. He has lost staff, and he's afraid he might not be able to be a congressman forever. Oh, poor. Well, you pick the job. If the job's not paying that much, go somewhere else, for God's sakes. You don't need to be there. All right. Well, anyway, here's what he has to say.
This year, I lost 3 top staff people. And all of them were decent enough not to say that they were leaving because they needed to make more money. But I knew that to be the case because they, like the rest of us, had been with me for a period of time, and there was very little in the budget that would allow for increases. And then bringing on staff becomes difficult when we are competing in many respects with the private sector. I think it will ultimately lead to a serious morale problem. Members don't like to talk about it, but it's kind of a sad state of affairs that we are entering the 7th year of Congress not receiving a raise. It used to be that we were connected to federal judges, and I was very pleased that federal judges finally got the increase that they rightly deserve. But they left us in a position where now, in order for us to get a raise, we have to go to the public and prove that we deserve it. Well, I think we do. I think
okay, hold it right there. And he goes on and on for a while here, but there's the statement I was looking for. It's gotten to the point that we have to go to the American public and prove that we deserve a raise. Yes. All right. Anybody out there who's ever worked for somebody else, if you need a raise, if you really do need a raise, you have to go to your employer and prove to them that you are worth a raise, that you've worked hard enough, you're performing enough, you're producing enough. He ought to give you a raise. You have to prove it. So why should this annoy him? Does it annoy him? I don't want to put words in his mouth. Sounds to me like he's annoyed, but that he has to prove it. That's what I'm going with. But okay. So I went looking around to find out, you want a job performance rating? Okay. Number one, Congress in general, I'm not big on polls. Congress in general, the American public looks at Congress and says, well, we give you about a 6% approval rating. The rest of America thinks Congress is doing a lousy job. About 6% of Americans actually give Congress a favorable rating. Now, when I look at who the hell are these 6%, my answer is they have to be people who are working for or benefit from government, from Congress specifically. Those are the people who would give them a favorable rating. Nobody else in the country is. So those people who give Congress a favorable rating, now who has political influence to Washington, D.C. So 6% approval rating based on the political connections that they have. Everybody else, you're out of the loop. I don't consider that a pretty good job approval rating. What was my debt clock count today? I think it was something like 18 trillion, 224 or 5 billion, and right, something there. It's over 18 trillion now. And then when you include unfunded liabilities and et cetera, on and on the list goes, we're well over $100 trillion. No way we can possibly pay that back. And they keep borrowing more. Okay. Still not giving Congress a pretty good, at all, a job approval rating here. How are you guys doing at reading bills before you pass them? See, that's one of the things that got me really politically active. I mean, I've been politically active most of my life, but really politically active when I found out you guys are passing bills without reading them. And it turns out they still are. Well, we've got this new trade deal coming out that the president's pushing, and most members of Congress know of it, but they're not really, when they do finally get a chance to read it, they're not going to sit down and read the whole thing. Or how about just lying to the American people in general? All right, there's a problem there. I'm giving you guys the short list, aren't I? This is just the short list between the lies and the national debt, not reading the bills, passing things that are unconstitutional, giving the bureaucracy the ability to write law, taking away our rights or civil liberties. How many times have I turned on television and listened to a congressman from either party, I don't care which party you're talking about, from either party, using political speak, using spin, not talking to us directly, talking over our heads as if we're a bunch of idiots. And if they can just talk long enough so the reporter runs out of time, but they don't say anything, then they've gotten away with something. That's been happening in politics since the beginning of politics, I know. But you would expect better out of an American politician. Well, you should, but so I'm sorry, I can't give you guys a high rating on. Now, just the short list that I've given, just that short list, I have to go back and say, I don't think Congress deserves a raise. In fact, many of you people deserve to be fired. Forget your raise. But now remember, this is the same congressman, just what Duff said, would have to go take a look to see if this guy has any kind of a record. Is he under investigation for anything? So many members of Congress are. But then, a few years ago, we were talking about reading the bills and the rules and the Constitution, and this very congressman who is asking for a raise, he wants you to review his job performance, and he wants a raise. He said this about the rules in Congress.
The deal goes down. All of this talk about rules, we make them up as we go along.
You remember the congressman who said, read the bill? What good is reading the bill if you don't have, like 2 days and 2 lawyers to tell you what it means once you finally read the bill? Okay. Sorry, Mr. Congressman. I don't see why you should get a raise. I can see why you should lose your job.
everybody. Gather round. I'm here to give you anything you like. You want free college, energy, mortgages, whatever you like. You have come to the right place. Why? I'll tell you why. Who can take your money?
Who can take your money?
With a twinkle in their eye.
A twinkle in their eye.
Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government.
The government.
The government can.
The government can.
Who can tax the sunrise?
Who can tax the sunrise?
Who can tax the trees?
Who can tax the trees?
Let you run a business and collect up all the fees. The government.
The government.
Oh, the government can.
The government can.
And the government can, cause they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good.
Make it all taste good.
The government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions. Healthcare, climate change, pollution. Throw away the Constitution. And who can give a bailout?
Who can give a bailout?
Tell us to behave.
Tell us to behave.
And make the founding fathers roll over in the grave. The government.
The government.
Oh, the government can.
The government can.
And the government can, cause they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good.
Make it all taste good.
The government takes everything we make. Their power, hungry, and malicious. Their economics are fictitious. Soon we'll have to eat our dishes.
Delicious.
Oh, who can be a failure?
Who can be a failure?
In so many ways.
In so many ways.
And instead of getting fired, hey, we'll give ourselves a raise. The government.
The government.
Oh, the government can.
The government can.
And the government can, cause they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good.
Make it all taste good.
And your Uncle Sam can, cause he mixes it with lies and makes it all taste good.
Makes it all taste good.
And it feels so good, cause the government says I should.
Has this ever happened to you? You vote for a charismatic young politician only to be disappointed by his undelivered promises of hope and change. If you're like much of the American voting public, you surely have. Has your car been marred by an unsightly blemish? Has your property value decreased due to the regretful political statements on your neighbor's car? Are you tired of being embarrassed to drive through your own neighborhood? Hi, I'm Brad Stein, and I'd like to introduce you to a brand new product that can help you cleanse your car and your life from any regretful election day decision. Introducing the Obama Bumper Sticker Removal Kit. How does it work? Let me show you. Simply pull your car into a garage, empty warehouse, or otherwise inconspicuous area. Use the official BS scraper to remove the old BS from your car and replace it with a brand new bumper sticker. It's just that easy. Even works on a Prius. What about your friend, neighbor, or that hippie stepbrother who bought into that Obama BS? Don't make him live in shame. Anonymously send him a BS removal kit of his very own. The BS removal kit works on BS of all kinds. Hope and change. Change you can believe in. And that oh so hard to get rid of Obama Biden BS. So rid your car and your life of Obama BS today. Only at bsremoval.com. The Obama Bumper Sticker Removal Kit does not get rid of higher taxes, mandatory health insurance, or high unemployment. Satisfaction is not guaranteed because, well, you are proving that you will make very...
Everyone who is important listens to this show. Yes, everyone. Everyone at the IRS, the NSA, the FBI, and even those Chinese spies. So when you call Glenn, you can count. They are listening. Let's get back to the show. Here's Glenn Woods.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. As always, phone number if you want to get involved, 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093. And as always, pretty much everything I talk about, a whole lot more, you'll find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com. Experiments on the video stream asking the question, does he actually say what he thinks Congress should get a raise to? That I didn't hear, but I can go back and listen to his entire thing, this congressman, to find out what he thinks he should get a raise to. Real quick, for you, Experiment, and other people that are watching on the video stream, DJ brought little chicks into the office this year. She's the chicken lady. She picked up some. So we have the chick cam. And by the way, in there they have a Bold Republic barf bag, I noticed, right next to the little chick cam. Now, normally, you know, being a Florida boy, when we talk about having a chick cam, and we're supposed to be in springtime, everybody, you know, beach weather, stuff like that in Florida, I would like to see some chicks on the chick cam. But no, these are little peepers, squeakers, kind of. Let me see if we can hear them real quick here. Yeah, I don't seem to have the volume up. Well, at some point, if we get the volume up, that we can hear these little guys. We'll check in with them from time to time and see if they actually use the barf bag. Right now, they're eating mealworms. Dan actually wanted to try some mealworms. Donut talked him out of it by telling him no. By the way, that's how DJ talks people out of things. She tells him no. Sometimes she even says hell no, and she's very persuasive when she does that. Headline, for many American states, it's like a recession never ended. 32 states are still having big trouble out there. 6 years after the recession ended, and a lot of this is just flat out financial trouble. 6 years after the recession ended, many U.S. states are hard-pressed to balance budgets, the story reads, because of a sluggish recovery and their own policy decisions. The raises, and of course, just in California. Okay, just California. That's all I have to say. Raises questions about how they will ever get out of a downturn if the rest of the country supposedly is recovering. Well, a majority of the states are making cuts, tapping reserves, or facing shortfalls despite improving national economy, or, well, somewhat improving. Stock markets, record levels. According to Standard & Poor's and the Nelson A. Rockefeller Institute of Government, state revenue hasn't rebounded. 32 states right now, 32 states are in trouble. Alaska, Oklahoma, and energy-producing states saw receipts fall with global oil prices. Kansas overestimated revenue after tax cuts. Now, wake up and hear that. They overestimated. In other words, we got a lot of money coming in, so we can do all of this spending, then the money quit coming in. While New Jersey faces shortfalls thanks to unfunded pensions. Even some Republican governors have championed tax increases to avoid further diminishing services, which is, by the way, exactly what they should do. If their states are not doing well, then what's the first thing you do? You start looking for places to cut back, not how to spend more or keep what you currently have. It's such an easy analogy. Look, okay, you, let's say, are in a big house, you've got many vehicles, you own, let's go ahead and say you own a private airplane. Come on, you're living well. You're living well. And then one day the money just isn't coming in like it used to be. So what do? Well, you start cutting back, right? It's just that simple. Okay. Early warning is the next part of this article from Bloomberg Business. Spending on education, roads, repairs, and other services is threatened at this point. Kansas schools are closing early, while the Alaskan governor, Bill Walker, on Monday threatened furloughs as many as 15,000 workers, while the shortfalls don't pose any immediate risk to credit or quality unless you're Illinois. Having so many early warnings and having done nothing about it, well, some of these states, like Illinois, are going to find themselves in big trouble in just a couple of years. which brings us to California. Hang on, I'll tell you about California next.
Glenn Woods, BoldRepublic.com.
Hey, man, what's up? Nice weather, that's what. It's finally warm enough to light up the grill. Hey, I'm on my way. Hey, do you need anything? I'm stopping at Don's Supermarket first. Keeping it local, I like it. Could you pick up some hot dogs and some buns and maybe some charcoal? Yeah, no problem. Is there anything else you need? Yeah, can you also pick up some mahi fillets for $5.79 a pound? Can you get some Surefine sliced bacon, $3.09 a pound? We also need some Cheez-Its. They're 2 for $5. And some Kraft macaroni and cheese, 99 cents a box. Ooh, and some Surefine cottage cheese. They're 2 for $4. Don't forget the bananas, 39 cents a pound. And also get some fresh blueberries. They're 2 pints for $5. Can you also get some Bush's baked beans? They're $2.19 a can. They're all on sale until Tuesday. Really? You want some matches to light that grill too? No, I have a match. Well, just one. So you might need to pick some of those up too. It's a good thing you're going to Don's because, they have everything. Hello? Hello? Don's Supermarket in Gillette, 1501 West 2nd Street.
Daydreaming, son! It's time to get prepared! Time to get off your sofa and run yourself down to Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Traders building. Oh, my! 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Civilian soldier, they got everything you could need. That's right, the Surplus is unlimited. Surplus Unlimited ammo for babies and adults. That's right, babies need camos too. 10 different styles of camo. Oh, don't you look pretty. 550 cord, numerous colors, wool blankets, boots, hats, gloves, coats, shirts, tactical vests and belts, camping supplies, high quality army cots, and that hard to find P38 can opener. Save time, save money. Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Traders building. 801 Carlisle on the Douglas Highway across from the fishing lake. Gillette, Wyoming.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline McKinney, owner of Fast and Furious Detailing. Do you need your RV or toy hauler cleaned? We will get it ready for you, so all you have to do is go have some fun. Or how about after fun, we can clean it up. We will even wash all of your bedding for you. Does your boat have dark film all around the outside of it? No problem. Fast and Furious Detailing is a full-service detailing company. We detail cars, SUVs, trucks, RVs, toy haulers, boats, ATVs, UTVs, and motorcycles. Fast and Furious Detailing hopes you can find everything you need. Our company is focused on providing high-quality service and customer satisfaction. We will do everything we can to meet your expectations. With a variety of offerings to choose from, we're sure you'll be happy working with us. We're located at 5753 South Winland Drive, and our phone number is 307-682-2470.
Pool leagues, dart leagues. Saturday night is ladies' night. Poker every Wednesday night. Domestic beers and draft on sale. And special daily dollar shop. We even have a packaged liquor drive-thru and many other things for you. It's Lakeside Liquor. Open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. till 2 a.m. Sunday, 11 till 11. Because you need to relax after where you've been. Work is hard for the ladies and gents. Come to Lakeside Liquor. Relax and vent. Lakeside Liquors across from Wyoming Work Warehouse in Gillette.
All right, I think I got this. He makes it his business to know the government's business and how they're all up in your business so you can go about your business. Where was I going with this? Kind of lost track. Anywho, Glenn is back on the air now. Yep, there he is.
Yep, here he is. It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me, talking about 32 states now that are in trouble, if not immediately, but will be real soon. Some of these states are in trouble, like Illinois, right now, immediately, and they're just doing the same old thing all over and over again. And these were supposed to be the smart people that we elected to figure out these problems. Obviously not. Real quick, back to the chick cam. Dan, I'm going to go ahead and turn up the sound so people can hear. DJ brought in a bunch of little chicks because she raises chickens. And we have a chick cam. And I asked Dan, he put a picture of a little chick and put a banner underneath that said the chick cam. And I asked, could you instead put a chick in a bikini? He went and found, for a chick cam, he went and found a chicken wearing a bikini and put that up. Not exactly what I was talking about, Dan, but hey, what the heck. So that's what we have going on out in the front office right now. So California, real quick. Well, actually, financially, California is not doing as bad as you might think. But between the droughts that are happening now in California, the businesses leaving the state, the high tax burden, they still want to build that bullet train. These people haven't learned. They haven't figured it out. They haven't learned. Now, this is on the state level. 32 states still in trouble. This is on the state level. What about the federal level? According to Experiment watching on the video stream, national debt update today was $18,234 billion. Wow. And yet, you would think the smartest people in the world, by the way, one of them wants a raise, would have figured this out by now, but they just keep continuing the rules, the regulations. By the way, I've read for you earlier this week, regulatory burden on the United States is about $80 trillion, dear God. And yet they just keep adding more to it. Oh, by the way, there's a story that I was watching from the Reason Foundation. Speaking of regulatory burden, there's a story on Bitcoin. And you would think, how hard is Bitcoin? It's a new business, and there's more than one company out there named that does what Bitcoin does. It's just this idea of a new kind of currency. But if you want to use this new kind of currency, we have 50 states, according to the president, 57 states. All of these regulatory agencies in each and every state. And in order to get your coin registered, you got to register it with several federal government agencies and several state agencies. It's going to cost you millions to start your own Bitcoin company, whether you call it Bitcoin or something else. And every agency that wants to license your company along the way is providing the same exact license that the last agency is providing for you. And the regulatory process is all pretty much the same, but you've got to get like a dozen different licenses in order to make this happen. And yet they say that this isn't slowing down the economy. You starting up a business now isn't slowing down the economy. So why did I know North Dakota, finally they're out of the boom they were having. They're not in any kind of recession. They're still booming. The boom slowed down. But why did North Dakota boom? Well, North Dakota went through a boom because government was simply out of the way. It slowed down because oil prices fell, therefore they had a slowdown. But even Republican governors that are supposed to know better, their idea when they go through a slowdown is, well, we're going to have to raise taxes because there's no way we can continue to afford to pay for all of these programs. But if you raise, I thought you were a conservative, Mr. Republican Governor. I thought when you say Republican Governor, that means you think as a conservative does. Well, let me tell you how a conservative actually thinks. Well, we have all of these government programs, but now the economy has slowed down and we can't afford all of these programs. So we're going to have to cut back. We can't afford to do what we used to do. We're not going to put any more of a burden on the American people. We're not going to spend more than we take in. See, that's how a conservative thinks. A conservative is not supposed to be the person that continues to borrow more money. So anybody out there who's borrowing more and spending more and opening up more government programs, that's not what a conservative is. I even had this argument recently on capitalism. Somebody was saying that, big businesses getting bailouts from the federal government was capitalism. And the answer is no, obviously not. That's not what capitalism is. If that's what you thought capitalism is, you don't understand capitalism.
ever sit around playing Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto all day? Ever want to do it for real? Well, come join us. We are ISIS. We will actually pay you to play. Why pretend to rape and torture and kill from your living room sofa? Come join the Caliphate where you can do it real. Think of the perks. Multiple submissive wives and goats. And for the lady gamers out there, we need submissive wives. So come join today. Find out what it's like to sleep in the desert, get bombed and strafed by Jordanian air fighters and American Apache helicopters. Maybe even a drone gets you in its sights. But this game is not for any ordinary gamer. Here, there is no reset button. You die. Game over. We promise you great rewards in the afterlife, like 72 submissive virgin wives and goats. So apply today. It's easy, because we will take anyone who has no regard for your dignity or life. Is that you? If so, come die with us. We are ISIS.
Dedicated, reliable-ish, hardworking from 10 to 3 Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. They are the American bureaucrat, because the engine that was America's progress and success was running a little too fast and efficient. Who knows where all of this innovation and success was going? So for the good of the nation, somebody needed to slow it down. It took a lot of paper to jam up those gears of progress, but no one knows paper like the bureaucrat. And America was too rich compared to the rest of the world. Can't have that. No one knows how to make your money disappear like the proud men and women of the American bureaucracy. So, America, take all your great ideas and big dreams and flush them. And if you find your dreams coming true, don't worry. The American bureaucracy has a ton of paperwork and a line for you to stand in. Bureaucracy, slowing progress and freedom for a more humble America.
Sorting through the nonsensical nonsense that makes your life a living hell. It's Glenn Woods. BoldRepublic.com.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Hey, don't forget, pretty much everything I talk about, a whole lot more. My website is boldrepublic.com, and there's an app for that. Please sign up for the app if you haven't already. Any device you have that takes an app, we'll take it. It's absolutely free, and then you can keep in contact with the show anytime you want. Just go to your app store, type in Bold Republic, and again, try out the website, boldrepublic.com. So, okay. I have to give credit where credit is due. I pick on MSNBC enough. I pick on MSNBC a lot, and frankly, they deserve it. MSNBC deserves all the grief and all the low ratings that they're getting. But when they do something right, it's worth it. So what did they actually do right? No, this is killing you. Well, some time ago, a conservative blogger simply just went out and asked Democrats, are you going to vote for Hillary? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Why? Because she's so wonderful. Okay. Would you please name some Hillary Clinton accomplishments? For example, Hillary Clinton accomplishments when she was Secretary of State. Just name that. Just give us that. They got nothing. See, these are the same people, by the way, who pushed to have Barack Obama as President of the United States. Name an Obama accomplishment. They got nothing. They bought into the whole Hopi changey thing. Okay, so this happened on MSNBC.
Significant as Secretary of State? Secretary of State? I really can't name anything off the top of my head. Marlene, not bad.
Give me a minute. Give me 2 minutes to go someplace else.
Okay, Christina, can you think of something that she accomplished as Secretary of State that impressed you or thinks important?
No.
Amanda, anything you do to say this is a good credential for?
I honestly can't say I followed along everything that was going on all that well.
She's been at a high level in.
Yeah, okay. This guy rambles on for a while and doesn't say anything. Basically, what he said, she's been at a high level for a long time, so, you know, she must have been something or other, but really has nothing to say. So here are people who are all in for Hillary. They love Hillary, but they don't know why. This is why I don't want certain unqualified people to vote. These are the same. Well, when you hear people like this brag about this president, or let's just stick with Hillary since she's running for president. When you hear these people brag about Hillary and they can't name a single accomplishment, then you pull out where she said in the past that marriage is between a man and a woman, and she would be opposed to same-sex marriage. You pull that out. They don't want to hear it. All right, so when it comes to illegal immigration, you pull out where she said that she was opposed to illegal immigration, and everything that I've said about it, basically. She and I would actually agree on illegal immigration. Well, back when, but not what she's saying now, because she's changed her tune. When you point out the lies, one of my favorite ones of all time, okay, so here we are on this airplane, and we were going into Kosovo, and we had to corkscrew in because of the snipers, and we had to have our little meeting in a bunker, and oh, this is absolutely true. Turns out not a single word true about that. The list of scandals go on and on. Point out that she was fired from the Watergate hearings. She was actually a lawyer on the Watergate hearings. She was fired from the Watergate hearings because she lied. And basically, her boss didn't like her shadowy work ethic, really. So she was fired. She was fired for those reasons. Yet to this day, though, Benghazi, come on now. She's been caught lying about Benghazi. The email scandal, dear God. Yet you hand it to these people, and they are all in for Hillary. It doesn't matter. They're going to vote for her no matter what. These are people who make up their own reality and choose to live in it and don't want to hear what anybody else has to say about it. I am much more impressed with people who live a fact-based life. The kind of people who will take a look at, I don't care what you pick your issue, gun control, the debt, whatever the case is. They take things as they are. I may still disagree with their conclusions, but these are people who live in the real world, and they know a liar when they see it. They're going to stick to their principles. I actually appreciate that more than I ever could someone like a Barack Obama, a Bill Clinton, a Hillary Clinton. And the people who vote for people like Hillary, as you can see in that MSNBC clip, are nothing more than useful idiots. Now, what I want to know about the clip I just played you, which is from MSNBC, here's what I want to know about it. They did that on the program Morning Joe. Let's give that to hosts like Ed Schultz and some of the other evening hosts that have been all in for Obama and have been all in for Hillary, and I honestly want to hear what they really have to say. Can they pull their head out of the sand? There's another dark place. You all know where their head really is. Are they going to do that, or? Well, you already know the answer. They're voting for Hillary no matter what. Third hour of the program just ahead. Hang in there, folks. Don't move. Here we go.
Let's say you want to start a Bitcoin company in the US. Chances are you're going to need a money transmitter license, or rather 51 of them, because 47 states, 3 territories, and the District of Columbia each have their own permitting process for any business that handles money on behalf of its customers. Here's Megan Burton, the CEO of the Bitcoin exchange firm CoinX, talking about what this process has been like for her company.
Some applications have been in for over a year, and we're unable to determine the path forward as it's not a clear process.
Fred Ursum, co-founder of the Bitcoin wallet firm Coinbase, says that so far becoming compliant in just half the states has taken his company 2 years and cost $2 million. But dealing with the states is just the beginning. Bitcoin firms also have to abide by the rules of the Federal Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the U.S. Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which just sent a chill through the industry by fining the cryptocurrency startup Ripple Labs $700,000 for allegedly violating its rules. Jerry Brito is the executive director of Coin Center, an industry advocacy group.
It takes lawyers in each state. It means criminal background checks in each state. It means bonds for each state. It's a huge barrier to entry.
Instead of sorting out this regulatory mess, government officials are piling on even more red tape. Benjamin Lawsky, New York State's top financial regulator, has spent the last year hammering out the details of the so-called BIT license, which will apply to any company that serves customers in New York.
Right now, the regulation of virtual currency industry is still akin to a virtual Wild West.
Lawsky points to a slew of recent headlines about drug sales, alleged money laundering, and theft in the Bitcoin world. But these activities are already illegal under existing laws and regulations, and New York already requires that companies obtain a money transmitter license.
It's duplicative. It doesn't achieve any new purpose to require 2 licenses. When you do the background check for one license, what's the point of doing a background check for another license?
While the final details won't be released until later this month, the most recent draft of the BIT license has provisions that specifically duplicate federal regulations that are already on the books.
It has an anti-money laundering provision, which is something that's unprecedented. Anti-money laundering is something that the federal government handles. It's handled by FinCEN, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network at the Treasury Department. So now, if you are a business, not only do you have to file suspicious activity reports and do know your customer for the federal government, now for the first time you have to do it for a state as well.
Bruce Fenton is the executive director of the Bitcoin Foundation.
We already have existing laws against fraud, against hacking. So really what we are left with is something very onerous and burdensome for not just American companies, but companies all over the world.
Instead of stating you can't do business until you meet every requirement that has yet to be defined, give us a probationary license so that we can get that process moving forward.
Ideally, a small startup could go to one place, wherever that is, and have clear and simple rules that they could follow to get that license.
We don't know when the next Facebook is going to come along, started by a guy in his dorm. What if he would have had to spend $4 million to start that? We would have never seen it. We may not even know what kind of innovations are around the corner if we stifle that innovation before it even has a chance to start.
Having states where they've seen that we can successfully lower the prison population while also cutting crime, you know, that's the sweet spot. If we lowered the prison population but crime went up, it would be a failure. But instead, it's really succeeded where, like in Texas, they've scrapped plans to build 3 new prisons. They've closed another 3 prisons. And they've saved about $5 billion over, several years. And their crime rate's the lowest it's been since 1967. So, and so we can go to legislators in other states or at the federal level and say, this can be done. You can, by being more intelligent about who you send to prison, being more selective in that, and putting resources in the drug treatment, mental health treatment, things that keep people out of prison, you can lower your costs and make the streets safe. We've invested a lot in prisons. We've spent billions and billions and billions of dollars building prisons, and yet 40+% of those who leave prison end up back in prison. That's a failure rate. If we went to a hospital where 40% of the patients had to go back because they were still sick, we'd find a new hospital. We'd redesign it. And that's essentially what conservatives are saying here. Obviously, we want the public safe, but the way government has gone about it isn't working.
Interesting, because as usual, conservatives are doing all the work.
Whoa!
Bold Republic.
I certainly do remember that trip to Bosnia.
The welcoming ceremony had to be moved inside because of sniper fire.
And we basically were told to run to our cars. Now that is what happened.
Part of what I believe with all my heart is that the voters are tired of people who lie to them.
That was not a vote for war.
I actually started criticizing the war in Iraq before he did.
By the summer of 2004, Senator Obama said he wasn't sure how he would have voted.
If you had been a member of the Senate, you would have voted against the resolution.
Yes, I would have agreed with our senior Senator Dick Durbin and voted nay.
The voters are tired of people who lie to them.
You know, I have been a critic of NAFTA from the very beginning.
I was one of the voices in the administration warning about NAFTA.
Oh, I think that everybody is in favor of free and fair trade, and I think that NAFTA is proving its worth.
What difference at this point does it make?
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
Final hour of the program, and unfortunately we have to get into a different kind of rodeo that frankly is going to unsettle a lot of you, but here we go. It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number, of course, if you want to get involved, 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093. And, of course, pretty much everything I talk about, a whole lot more, you'll find it on my website, boldrepublic.com. I'm sorry to go there. Next two are animal-related stories. I'm just going to read the headline. Here's what it says. We'll take it from there. Gay rodeo tests tolerance in Arkansas, a hotbed of the rights fight. Okay, I have a question about this. So what they're talking about is a rodeo. To me, the word gay still means happy. Okay, I know everybody else is using it for something else, but it still means happy. It means a specific kind of happiness, and everybody else is using it wrong. And don't give me this, well, words change meanings. We invented the dictionary so they wouldn't. But now now the dictionary goes along with changing the meanings of words, which is absurd because it makes the dictionary useless. That's a whole nother discussion. Here's the story from Yahoo News, and the complaint that I'm about to give you is not the complaint that you might think. Don't assume, in other words, what my objection is to this story. Headline, Little Rock, Arkansas. On a clear Arkansas spring afternoon, after a day of horse riding, Wade Earp, he would be an Earp, wouldn't he? Any relation to Wyatt, I'd like to know, sighed and said, I wish I didn't have to have a gay rodeo. I wish it could just be a rodeo, he said. So what would be the problem? Earp was a contestant at the International Gay Rodeo event last month in Arkansas, a Bible Belt state on the front lines of the fight over same-sex rights, and one of the 13 U.S. states where same-sex marriage is not recognized. Story reads, everyone deserves equal, and this is a quote, everyone deserves equal treatment, everybody deserves equal rights, Earp says. He's a native of Benton, Arkansas, where he was raised in a fundamentalist Christian denomination and a competitor in barrel racing and roping and steer rodding and things like that. The 16th Diamond State Rodeo held at the Little Rock drew 75 contestants, far outnumbering spectators, and a dozen states, Canada, and so all sorts of people just applying to be part of what they call the Gay Rodeo 2016 Finals in Las Vegas, is where they're all heading. Quote, for years, no one would allow us to advertise it. said Sandy, resident of the Diamond State event. For years, protesters would create a disturbance. My attitude is let them, she said. It's free advertising. Okay. So in other words, they're having this event, and I have a question about it. And again, my objection to this is not the objection you might think. Why would you have to have a rodeo that specifically singled out same-sex people? Or in other words, homosexuals. Why would you do that? We have the same fight in this country from time to time. Remember the business owner that said he was going to have White Man Appreciation Day? And he was going to give discounts to white people on White Appreciation Day. And he said, look, we have Black History Month. We have Hispanic Awareness Month, or whatever they call that. So why not have a White Appreciation Day? But no, that's racist. Really? Then why aren't the other two things racist? Why can't you just have a rodeo? If they had a rodeo that was a, this is their terminology, not mine, the African American rodeo. Okay, so you're going to have a rodeo for black people. Gotcha. All right. Well, what if you said the white rodeo and you only invited white people? That would be discriminatory, right? That would be racist, right? Well, so is it if you had a rodeo and you only invited black participants. If you have a rodeo where you're only going to allow homosexuals to participate, well, then you're discriminating against straight people, aren't you? This goes back to what I've been saying all along in this controversy. The best thing to do is just understand other people exist of different beliefs and different lifestyles. Just accept it. We don't have to have a special day for one group or the other. What they're trying to do is push the limits and raise awareness in places like Arkansas. That's why this story is out there. And I'm calling them on their own standards. One of the best way to fight something like this, call them out on their own standards, which is exactly what I'm doing here. Just calling them out on their own standards. If it's not right to have a straight rodeo and only have straight cowboys, then it's not right to have a gay rodeo and invite homosexual cowboys only. If you're interested in the entire story and where they're touring and all of that, it's on my website at boldrepublic.com on the Daily Outrage page. Next story, like I said, this stuff is animal related now. Tim from Tampa sent me this story. In fact, Tim from Tampa called me and went, oh, my God. You have got to see this story. And the story involves one of the oldest pubs in England. From National Review magazine and National Review online, headline reads, PETA demands bar changes its name because ye old fighting cocks is offensive to chickens. Interesting. The name, I don't even know where they got the name from. I have no idea where they got the name from. But by the way, for those just joining me, that's the chick cam. DJ brought in a bunch of chicks. And so we put a chick cam on for those people that are watching on the video stream here. But let's go ahead and ask now. I'm going to go ahead and read this again. This is from PETA. Here's the headline here. PETA is demanding that a bar change its name because ye old fighting cocks is offensive to chickens. I would like somebody, if anybody is paying attention there in the front office, with our crack research staff, it looks like a lot of the little peepers there have pretty much fallen asleep. They look like they've had enough and they've fallen asleep. Is any one of them awake? Preferably more than one. I'd like to do a poll. We've got some in this right here in our offices right now. Let's ask them. Is the name of a bar, which is Ye Old Fighting Cocks, offensive to them or not? Because I'm kind of doubting that it is. All right, here's the story. People eating tasty animals, PETA, sent a letter to the oldest bar in Britain Monday demanding that it change its historic name, Ye Old Fighting Cocks, because it's offensive to chickens. PETA director said the name should be changed to Ye Old Clever Cocks because that would celebrate chickens in the intelligent, sensitive, social animals that they are. Oh, that's, we need to sell. Okay. I have an answer for all of this. Hang on. There's a reason I think that these people act this way. I'm about to tell you. The pub is Britain's oldest according to Guinness World Records. Now, isn't that ironic? The pub is the oldest pub in the UK according to Guinness World Record. Great. Okay. According to PETA, however, history just doesn't matter when it comes to something this serious. There's a reason that I think PETA's upset by this. And again, like the first story, my answer is not what you think it's going to be. Quote, we understand the pub has long been called Ye Olde Fighting Cocks, and that there may be some resistance to making the change, but just as many pubs have names tied with slavery, changing their name matches modern sensibilities. So it's high time for the name of the pub, almost said bar, that would have been wrong, to change. They said in a letter. Yes, they compared it to slavery. By the way, has anyone gotten a hold of the chickens up front to find? There's a few of them moving around. They're awake. Please ask them if they think that name is offensive or not. They might think it's cool. PETA added the name change would encourage people to rethink the way that they treat their chickens. And these birds respect every bit of kindness that they deserve. I agree, because the last time that I sat down and ate chicken for dinner, I really appreciated every tender morsel of that bird. So in that case, despite all of the super compelling arguments here, the local newspaper is reporting the pub has no plans to change the name. Quote, we have a responsibility to preserve the history of the building. We celebrate the fact that cockfighting was banned in the 1800s, but we won't consider changing our name. We are all animal lovers here and are one of the few pubs left that welcomes dogs. Wow. And the usual support of animal welfare organizations, a lot of the great work that they do. Ooh, thanks from the crack research staff here at American Standard Media. I just got a little information on Ye Olde Fighting Cocks, which is the pub here. Ye Olde Fighting Cocks is a public house in St. Albans, and I'm probably mispronouncing it, which is one of several that lay claim to being the oldest in England. The fact that the pub currently holds the official Guinness Book of World Records. That wouldn't, again, once again, the pub holds a record with Guinness Book of World Records. Main structure is a freestanding building, has octagonal appearance, and attributed to its original use as a pigeon house, which it has been added to over the years, but the original timber frame structure clearly visible in there. Many old buildings and like this one, the ceilings are quite low. The original bread oven is next to one of the fireplaces, has a very large beer garden. Not being a drinker, I've often wondered about a beer garden. Well, now, if I've done this on my Daily Weirdness page at boldrepublic.com, if you were to go out and, let's say, plant a bottle cap from some brew that you really enjoy, and just give it a little bit of time, water it, of course, fertilize it, and you can grow yourself a little beer bush there in your beer garden. I believe that's how it works. I'll have to ask Swede Specialties.
Hello, Americans. This is Rod with your local American-made store here in Gillette, Wyoming, where it's always made right here in the USA. Have you seen our stainless steel art? It's beautiful. Yes, and he will do custom. Framed artwork. Check out our selection. Top-of-the-line stuffed olives, flavored olive oils. And yes, we have toys and Okabashi sandals. Free pocket constitution with purchase. We are the solution for this great nation. Get informed. Don't forget your veterans. God bless America, and buy American. It matters. MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
Smithers, you look exhausted.
Oh, sir, I was at the office half the night.
Really? Well, that's the third night this week.
Yes, sir. I just can't seem to stay away. I'm not sure what's gotten into me.
Dedication, son. I haven't seen that kind of work ethic in years.
Right. Well, I'll probably be at the office late again tonight. There's just so much to do.
You'll want to work late Free night at the Office Saloon with Doc McGillicuddy Monday. Have that Tuesday. Screw it Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays, and thank God it's Friday with Bud and Bud Light specials. And at the office, you'll even want to work weekends. Saturday nights, ladies' nights, and mini-me Sunday. Work late at the Office Saloon. U.S. Highway 14 in Gillette, Wyoming, out toward the airport.
Smithers, is there any luck with that client you've been chasing?
Oh, yes, sir. Last night, she gave me her phone number.
Attaboy, Smithers. Attaboy.
Howdy, folks. This is Swede from Swede Specialties here in Gillette. Do you know that Swede carries bottles? I mean bottles. Beer bottles, wine bottles, easy cap bottles, in 3 different sizes and colors. Jugs and growlers, even ice wine bottles. Plus all the corks and caps to go on them. Corkers and cappers too, plus all the makings to go in them. Give Swede a call, 686-0588, or go to SwedeSpecialties.com.
Do you live in Gillette, Cheyenne, Sundance, Laramie, Buffalo? Do you have a Class A CDL with a doubles endorsement? Do you like making money? If you answered yes, Aulick Leasing can help you. Apply online at aulickleasing.com or give me, Chris Anderson, a call, 308-633-4023. That's 308-633-4023.
What's a good cup of coffee if you can't spit it across the dashboard now and then, right? Oh, yeah, and ruin a good work shirt. Sure, burn the hell out of your inner thighs. We know what you need, though, in a radio program. Irreverent but honest, and tastefully tacky. It's Glenn Woods.
Yeah, already getting comments from the peanut gallery in this one here. Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. So if you're just tuning in, Ye Old Fighting Cocks is the name of the old place with supposed freestanding building. It's the oldest pub over the pond, and they're supposed to, according to PETA, change their name because Ye Old Fighting Cocks is offensive to chickens. First off, DJ in the front office says that being a chick herself, she says they can simply just go jump in the lake. The chicks are not offended, is the next statement here. But also Todd, who's watching by the video stream. How you doing, Todd? I think you got it right on this one. You usually have some good comments. This nails it. Here's how we got about a little over a half hour. Here's how we poll the little chicks on the chick cam in the front office. According to Todd, what we're supposed to do is make a ballot. Just make it a yes or no ballot. Does it offend them or not? And then we watch to see which ballot they poop most on. Whatever one has the most chicken turds on it, that's how they have decided to vote. Now, here's my I think he's on to something if you guys want to give this a try. I would just put the ballots in the box with them and just see how that turns out. Now, my theory, and I seriously, this is actually why I think people like PETA do what they do. I'm very serious about this. There was a time when everybody, every human being alive, we all had to get up really early in the morning if we wanted to survive. We would go out and we would tend to our garden. We would plow the field, pull the weeds, all that. There were no herbicides and pesticides, so if there was some bug in your garden, you had to deal with it by hand. Rabbits in the garden, stuff like that, you had to deal with it by hand. You're fighting off fungus, you had to deal with it by hand. You would also have to go take a look at, according to the front office, it's called Chicky Doodle. Okay, so where I'm saying they don't poop, well, however you want them to vote on the ballot, yes or no, okay, they don't vote by pooping, they vote by Chicky Doodle. That's according to the crack research staff in the front office. But okay, then you would go off and take care of your animals that you were going to use. Then the next thing is you had to go hunting. If you didn't have enough animals, you'd have to repair whatever you wanted to repair on your house, your barn. Okay, this is what it was like to live way back when. And you did it 6.5 days a week because on Sunday, a half day was spent in church. Don't give me this, they took the whole day off. You still had animals and farm to attend to. That was a half day off. But then one day, as technology advanced. Not only did humans start to live longer, but we have now suddenly a lot of free time on our hands. Now, some of us became very productive with that free time. And we spend all of our free time working to invent and create and better ourselves. Hopefully we better humanity. We decided to do something to be more productive with that time. Some people spend all of that time working on making more money and getting rich. Some people spend all that time becoming artists and writers and so on. We now, because of this technology, have all this free time on our hands. Some people just decided to become fat and lazy. It's their lives. They can do whatever they want with their free time. Some people had this idea that they wanted to be productive, but instead of being productive, they joined groups like PETA. And they spend their time fighting for causes like, hey, this place here, Ye Old Fighting Cock, you better change your name because, by golly, you're offending chickens if you don't. This is where we're at now. This is where these people are at. This is what they do with their lives. This is what they do with their time. That is my honest appraisal on why these people, whoever they are, that join groups like PETA, have nothing better to do with their time. It's my honest appraisal as to how they go to bars with notes like this, and if they can, they will actually sue. They will. They'll sue if they can. If they can sue with public money, they'll go ahead and sue with public money. Whatever it takes, they'll do it. Because they have nothing better to do. They have nothing but free time on their hands. This is the organization that is known as PETA. Now, it's not just PETA. These are the same people, like I said in the first hour of this program, the same exact people who tell your kids that they can't play with water guns because it might offend somebody, it might upset somebody. You can't have kids shooting any kind of a gun at anybody because if you offend, well, it's a gun and you're pointing it at somebody, and that's not nice, is what they tell you. These are the same people who suspend a kid for 5 days from school. He should have been expelled by God, but they'll suspend him from school for 5 days because he showed up with a little Nerf bullet in his pocket. These are the same exact people. They have this much time on their hands. They have nothing better to do with their lives. The same people who tell you that a little girl can't sell lemonade in her front yard, that you can't grow a garden in your front yard, much less any other yard. These are the same exact people. They do it for no other reason that they have nothing but time on their hands. And because they have nothing but time on their hands, this is how they fill it. And it gives them a sense of reason and a sense of purpose in their lives. Carrie was the first caller of the program today. Carrie got it absolutely right. You know how you treat these people? We ignore them en masse. Like that article I read you from the Cato Institute, where the gentleman is saying the best way to defeat all of this nonsense is if, as a country, whenever we see these stupid laws come along, we just choose to ignore them. We simply don't participate in them. This is why I've told you over the years, I think one of the things we should do is take the politicians and the bureaucrats and let them show up to their offices. Let them make their decisions. Let them file their paperwork, you know. And we make them believe that what they're doing is actually good for the country and making a difference. In the meantime, every last one of us, we're all just ignoring. Well, look, in a sense, we make Washington, D.C. a giant insane asylum. And we just make them believe that they're working for the betterment of humanity. In the meantime, we have them in a place where we can keep an eye on them and keep them happy. Isn't that what we all want?
With respect to the notion that I can just suspend deportations through executive order, that's just not the case. Anybody who tells you it's going to be easier that I can wave a magic wand and make it happen hasn't been paying attention to how this town works. I'm the President of the United States. I'm not the Emperor of the United States. My job is to execute laws that are passed. We're not going to use signing statements as a way of doing an end run around Congress. I know some here wish that I could just bypass Congress, change the law myself. But that's not how democracy works. What I'm going to be laying out is the things that I can do with my lawful authority as president.
Does the president still stand by what he said last year when he said, quote, "I am not the Emperor of the United States. My job is to execute laws that are passed"? Is that still operative?
Absolutely. Not a king either. That's right.
To everyone. Subject, an email about email. It seems like everything these days generates email. Every treaty, every trade negotiation, every real estate transaction, and pretty much every lobbyist you talk to makes more and more email. And juggling all those emails can be tough. It's a chore to carry around multiple devices. For most people, it's one device for work, one device for home, and one device for liaising with billionaire Arabs. That's why we made Hillary Mail, the all-in-one email solution for work, for yoga class, or for highly classified information. Your messages are stored far away on a server in the garage of a luxury home in rural New York, protected by a 10-foot fence and a state-of-the-art Secret Service agent named Phil, making sure your email is far from the reach of freedom of information laws, congressional oversight, and journalists. And for extra peace of mind, you have the ability to disappear anything you don't want anyone else to read, regardless of your ethical obligation. Opt for convenience. Opt for Hillary Mail. Hillary Mail is not protected from hacking.
The automobile has remained largely unchanged for over 100 years. Introducing Apple Car. What you first notice when you sit in Apple Car is that there's no wheel or pedals. Siri does all the driving for you by using Apple Maps to take the most efficient route every time. You'll be gliding through back streets with all the ease of an Apple lawyer gliding through corporate tax loopholes.
Siri, take me to Cupertino. Now driving you to the bottom of Lake Superior.
Crafted unapologetically in styrofoam, Apple Car can be personalized with a range of apologetic silicon covers that elegantly snap on to protect Apple Car's most important feature, Bono, who will sit in the back seat and play every U2 song on loop for the life of the car. The windscreen itself is made from sapphire crystal, which is 1,000 times stronger than glass, unless something touches it. Like most Apple products, Apple Car doesn't crash, and if it does crash, it's probably because of user error. Apple Car wouldn't be an Apple product if it had windows, so we got rid of them and replaced them with gorgeous Retina displays. When it comes to looking at your surroundings, the passenger is always in the driver's seat. If you're driving around Silicon Valley and you don't want to see homeless people, simply swipe them away. Oh look, a harmonious multiracial picnic. That's nice. Apple Car is fully electric, and with Apple's Craptic engine, it can drive continuously for 24 minutes a day on a single charge. And there's enough onboard storage to hide as many Chinese workers that have committed suicide during the assembly of the car, which is 4. And that's 3 more than any other car. Apple Car represents the most important, most magical, most revolutionary, and genuinely exciting automotive industry innovation since the built-in iPhone charger.
Need to let off a little steam? Yep, that's why we installed phone lines into the studio. Call Glenn now. Bold Republic is on the air. Here's Glenn Woods.
last half hour-ish or so, Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. All right, so climate change news. That should be in the news, but I want to know if the irrelevant press is going to report any of this. Here we go. First off, Doom Obama, Dr. Doom Obama, the President of the United States. Yeah, he's previewing a stern warning about climate change and the threat to humanity, still blathering on about the same old thing that he always blathers on about. So you know the routine there. I don't really need to describe the story to you, do I? Of course not. We already know we all know the story here. I don't need to describe this to you. Okay. So as the president continues to blather on about this, Governor Jerry Brown, Governor Moonbeam, is one-upsing him on this one. Governor Brown signs a multinational climate change pact, further dooming his state. Somebody saying we got some fingers here and with the chickens. Oh, dear Lord. We have a chicken cam for those people watching on the video stream. The chick cam, pardon me. And somebody's in there molesting them. Oh, dear Lord. There was a big hand. Can you imagine being that size of a creature and a massive hand comes down and picks you up like that? That might be a scary thing. Maybe we're used to be pretty much the most sizable thing in the room. I just was I was scared for the chickens for a moment. The chicks, pardon me. All right. So on Tuesday, yesterday, California Governor Moonbeam Brown signed a pact between 12 regions and 7 countries, including the United States, binding each to reduce greenhouse gas emissions dramatically. The goal of the cuts is to keep the rise of the global average temperature to about below 2 Celsius. By the way, we've already shown this is why they don't live in any sense of reality at all. We've already shown them. How many times over now have we already shown them? That if everybody in the country cut the CO2 that we produced, every country, every human being, it would not have any effect whatsoever. There's not like there's some thermostat out there that we can just go and put our fingers on and it'll fix the problem. It isn't going to work that way. I'm sorry, it's not. There's not a global thermostat. Get over it. You can't walk out into the woods and push a button on some kind of a thermostat out there and fix this problem. It isn't going to happen. All right, but these people still think it can. All right, but hang on. News they don't want to hear. CBS tells you a cute little story of a toddler experiencing his first spring rain. And right away they start talking to this little toddler about climate change. Poor kid's going to scare him to death. CBS followed that as a story, but this is what they're not going to cover. Updated NASA data. This is the headline. Global warming not causing any polar ice retreat. Okay, there's a problem here as I get into this story. Just the headline alone, I already see what the problem is, do you? Global warming is not causing any global ice retreat. Well, first off, we haven't had any global warming for 18 years and 5 months now. The climate has remained over the years, yes, the temperature has gone up and has gone down over the decades. But when you average it out, the temperature has shown no upward or downward trend. And so scientists, not 97%, because you know that's nonsense. There are scientists who disagree. So it's not 97% of the scientists agree. But scientists that do believe that man is causing climate change and global warming is happening, they're scratching their heads. How can we not be losing any ice if the planet is warming? The answer to that obviously is because the planet isn't warming. Hang on, we'll finish the story in just a moment. In the meantime, someone has stolen all the chicks. Here's the camera.
Howdy, folks. This is Swede from Swede Specialties here in Gillette, and I'm here today with Mr. Wimpy. Mr. Wimpy, have you ever tried a home-brewed beer?
Oh, no, I only like Wimpy beer.
Would you like to try a home-brewed beer, Mr. Wimpy?
Well, okay, but just a sip. It looks kind of dark.
Just close your eyes and try it. Well, Mr. Wimpy, what do you think of homebrew? Now that's real beer, Pilgrim. But give Sweet a call, 307-686-0588, or go to sweetspecialties.com.
I'm Professor Burke from Farmers Insurance, and this is 30 Seconds of Smart. So you want discounts on your home insurance? Upgrade your roof. Upgrade your plumbing. Get a burglar alarm. Get a fire alarm. Combine policies with your spouse. Bundle your coverage. Quit smoking. And, of course, talk to farmers, because the more you know about home insurance, the more you can save.
We are farmers.
Get smarter about your insurance at farmers.com.
Stop by and see Lyle Austin, 201 West Lakeway Road in the Lakeway Professional Center, 686-5002. That's 686-5002.
Admiral Nelson was on the hunt for a wild turkey when suddenly Jack Daniels jumped out, took a shot at Bacardi, which made him fall on the black velvet floor. Jose Singe was not impressed, so he grabbed the Smirnoff vodka from McGuire's, loaded up a Seagram 7, and set sail with Captain Morgan.
How'd you come up with that story?
Well, so I was looking for some inspiration, so I went to Jack's and took my best shot. And then I took another.
This month at Jack's, fifths of Admiral Nelson, Jose Singe, Smirnoff Vodka, Bacardi, Wild Turkey, Jack Daniels, McGuire's, and Black Velvet. Half gallons of Captain Morgan and Seagram's. Jack's Liquor, your adult daycare center, 302 East 2nd Street, across from Napa Auto Parts in Gillette.
And then I took another.
Ah, summertime. You know, the great outdoors. You know what half the fun is with getting away from it all? Shopping. I mean, we're talking guns, bows, arrows, knives, camping equipment, from tents to sleeping bags, clothing, bug spray, fishing line, lures, tackle bait, cooking equipment, MREs, even all the latest electronic gadgets, and they've got it all at Rocky Mountain Discount Sports with locations throughout Wyoming. So no matter what you need, before you head out into the great outdoors, do some shopping. That's half the fun, isn't it? Rocky Mountain Discount Sports, conveniently located in Gillette, Wyoming, on South Douglas Highway and 1351 CY Drive in Casper.
Yeah, I know, Mom, but they offered me more money to produce Glenn's show now that it's syndicated. Sure, I know. Stocking shelves at Walmart at 2 a.m. has a heck of a lot more prestige than... Oh, hang on, Mom. Be right back. Let's get back in there. Here's Glenn Woods. Oh, come on, Mom. Stop crying.
So let's get back to this data real quick. Updated NASA data, global warming not causing any polar ice retreat. I would say that's in part because there hasn't been any global warming for 18 years and 5 months. Here's the story. Updated data from NASA satellite instruments reveal that Earth's polar ice caps have not receded at all, since the satellite instruments began measuring the ice caps in 1979. Since the end of 2012, moreover, total polar ice extent has largely remained above the 1979 average. Now, the reason they're saying average here, let's be clear, because there are years when there's a lot of ice. There are years when there's not a lot of ice. So when you average it out, there are decades when there's a lot of ice. There are decades when there's not a lot of ice. When you average it out, what do you get? There hasn't been any change. The updated data contradicted one of the most frequently asserted global warming claims. By the way, this is from Forbes magazine and NASA. The global warming is causing the polar ice caps to recede. Well, no global warming for 18 and a half years, no recession of the polar ice caps. The timing of the 1979 NASA satellite instrument launch could not have been better for global warming alarmists, because in the late 1970s, that marked the end of a 30-year cooling trend. As a result, now remember, trends go up, trends go down, hot years, cold years, wet years, dry years, which is natural. As a result, the polar ice caps were likely more extensive. They looked bigger than had been since the late 1920s. Nevertheless, this abnormal extensiveness is what the story says in 1979. Would appear to be the normal baseline when compared to 1975 polar extent. By the way, let me correct something. I don't know if the author of this story is saying normal because NASA said it or because he believes it, anything like that. But let's talk about what is normal. We've talked about this before. Normal is everything changes. Normal is everything is in constant fluctuation. Normal is nothing stays the same. That's what normal is. So when you look at the ice packs in Antarctica, there is no normal. There's not a way that it's supposed to be. We're always supposed to have this much ice. This is what's normal. What's normal is, at times, quite extensive long periods of times, this planet has not had any polar ice caps at all. That's what's normal. We've had polar ice caps that have extended all the way down almost to the equator, and there's other times that we've had no polar ice caps at all, no ice up there, nothing. Normal is constant change and fluctuation. Okay, so updated NASA satellite data show polar ice caps remain at approximately their 1979 extension until the middle of last decade, beginning in 2005. However, the polar ice modestly receded for several years. But in 2012, polar sea ice, started coming back again. See, it comes and goes. That's what's normal. A 10% decline in polar sea ice is not very remarkable, especially considering the 1979 baseline, where, again, they're saying, well, that's abnormally high. No, it's not. Regardless, the global warming activists and a compliant news media still claiming the ice caps are melting away, still claiming that we're going through some kind of global warming, even though we haven't had anything for the past 18 or so years. Okay, finally, now it's 2015. Updated NASA data shows polar ice cap is approximately 5% above the 1979 average. So now we're about 5% above where the ice was when we first launched that satellite. During the modest decline in 2005 through 2012, the media presented us a daily barrage of, oh, the caps are melting away. We're losing all of this. This is what you heard night after night after night. But it was actually just a modest decline in ice, and now it's back and then some. Now, what I want to know, now that this story is out, we already know the answer, will the irrelevant press report on it? That's one. Will they report on it? If they do mention it, I'll give them credit for mentioning it because it's worth mentioning. But then, do they cover it as extensively as they covered the modest amount of ice that retreated? Will they cover it that extensively? See, there's the big question. And we already know the answer to that because it's exciting, it's sexy to say that the polar ice caps are melting away and we're causing it. That's exciting, that's sexy, that's news-making. But to turn around and say, something, actually, we were wrong about that, and all the polar ice is back, and then some. So it's no big deal, folks. Nothing's going on here. How do you take that news story and pound it home to the American people, to the world, night after night after night? Worse yet, how do you do that when the one, President Obama, is going to go ballistic over that? Well, you know how much they love him. Well, they can't pull back on that now. Now, that's one of the stories that I have for you. Go to my daily outrage page at boldrepublic.com because there's another one where, once again, you were told something about global warming, you were told something about climate change, and the story that you were told, now we see that, in fact, do you think maybe they were lying to you about their models? Who's getting fired over the useless models that they have, climate models with their climate predictions? No one. I know the answer to that, but you would think.
Do you need a speaker for your upcoming event and are tired of easygoing, low-hassle keynote lecturers? Look no further than Hillary Rodham Clinton for the low cost of only $2,777 per minute. Folks, that's just $46 per second. You, yes, you can promote Hillary Clinton as your featured guest at your next event. But please note, Mrs. Clinton demands review all promotional materials and reserves the right to cancel the event for any reason whatsoever at any time. So please call. Time is running out, folks. With the agreement to hire Mrs. Clinton, you are now legally obligated to provide a spread of hummus, lemon wedges, room temperature sparkling and still water, sliced fruit, crudité, diet ginger ale, tea, a carafe of warm water, and a coffee cup with a saucer. All of which are not only expected, but required. Time is running out. If you call within the next 20 minutes, we'll throw in the required charter jet. After all, Mrs. Clinton says she's dead broke. Here's how to order.
Electricity powers our modern lives. But did you know that more of our electricity comes from coal than any other power source? Around the world, one new 500-megawatt coal plant is built about every 3 days. The majority of these plants are far cleaner than ever before, using a series of innovative technologies to protect the environment. In fact, in recent decades, as coal used for U.S. electricity has increased 170%, key emission rates have decreased 90%. For billions of people worldwide, today's state-of-the-art coal plants provide clean, affordable, and reliable power, and tell an increasingly important environmental success story.
She wouldn't acknowledge you at a press conference if she had one. She emails on her own server because it's convenient. As a Clinton, foreign governments donate to her. She is the least transparent person in the world. She emails often, and when she does, the public can't see it. Stay secretive, my friends.
Need to let off a little steam? Yep, that's why we installed phone lines into the studio. Call Glenn now. Bold Republic is on the air. Here's Glenn Woods.
It's the last 7 minutes of the program. Bold Republic is on. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so during that commercial break, the Dan and I were having a very interesting conversation because he brought up a great point. The Dan was saying that not only does he want an apology from the irrelevant press for the decades of scaring the daylights out of him with all of this climate alarmism. I said we should take it a step further than that, that in fact what we should have is a lawsuit. We should have a lawsuit. Here is the Dan right now, the chicken cam, yes, that would be Dan, who is suffering. He lies awake at night, sleepless nights. This man needs psychological counseling because the world is obviously coming to an end. Now look behind him, there's DJ. She doesn't care. DJ doesn't care. She's just sitting here quiet, normal. She never bought into the whole thing. What do we do with Dan? Okay, Dan, we'll get you your lawsuit. We'll get you your lawsuit, Dan. Don't you worry. Well, somebody's got to take care of this poor guy. Don't you think? After all those decades, we scared children with climate alarmism. We spent decades scaring children with climate alarmism to the point of tears. We spent trillions of dollars of taxpayer money. People went off and started to purchase and change their lifestyles, purchasing carbon credits even, over what we now know to be a lie. It's time we begin with the media. We go after Al Gore at some point. Time to bring on the lawsuits. Here's the latest story. So apparently all of those climate models are useless. We've been talking about this for a while, but the climate models are completely useless. For decades now, they've been writing these models, writing code for computers, and they've been predicting dire gloom and doom, and the models have turned out to be nothing but completely wrong. When do these people lose their jobs? When do they have to pay us back all the money we spend, all the taxpayer money we spend for these climate models that we're never able to predict anything accurately? When do we get our money back on that? Where's the warranty on that? From the Daily Caller, models used to craft climate models are pretty close to useless when it comes to crafting policies about global warming as well, according to a recent paper published National Bureau of Economic Research. The economist Robert Pindick, that's his name, writes that the assessment of these climate models, bad enough that they're so off and useless, used to craft global warming policy has flaws in them as well. So it's bad enough that the climate models got all of their weather prediction wrong. But worse yet, and you would expect this now, worse yet, that they wrote models saying, well, now that we understand that the humans are causing climate change, we need to write computer models that show us how we can reverse the climate change. Well, those models, of course, if the first model is useless, the second model is useless, right? So, okay, these models, IAMs, are tools for figuring out the impacts of environmental policies. Honestly speaking, okay. No, I know who the tools are for figuring out environmental policies. Notice I said who? Yeah, we elected them. They're in office right now. They're a bunch of bureaucrats. You want to know where the tools are for environmental policy? Just look to organizations like the EPA. There are your tools. Quote, they can be misleading, inaccurate, inappropriate as guides for policy, and that they've been used by government to estimate the cost. Who pays that cost, by the way? Well, okay. If the President of the United States says we have to pay the cost for climate change, does he mean him? If Al Gore says we have to spend this money to pay the cost for climate change, is Al Gore talking about himself? Well, of course not. Al Gore is getting rich off of climate change. The president flies around and even when he's done being president, you think he's going to give up the corporate jet lifestyle? But, at some point you've made enough money, he says. The president of the United States will never change his lifestyle in order to save the planet. So when they talk about the sacrifices that we need to make, the money that needs to be spent, who are they talking about? What are they talking? Well, they're talking about you. And as for the what, as in money, they're talking about your money. Well, they're not going to have to make any sacrifices. And at no time will they ever admit that any of the policies, any of the predictions that were made by these computer programs were wrong. Here, I'll give you the good news. We'll end on the good news. The good news is, when you take a look at how many people out there actually believe in this nonsense anymore, it's at an all-time low. Now all we have to do is get rid of the nincompoops that we put in office that are still pushing these policies. And that's slowly happening. Tomorrow's Thursday. We'll do it all again. See you guys, bright-tailed and bushy-eyed. Here's one last look at the cute little chicks in the front office. See you tomorrow.